Many feel that a mere 21 days of naked and afraid leaves them wanting more, prompting the show to recall past contestants for a tougher 40-day tropical wilderness challenge. Every day is like being in an oven, you can almost smell your skin sizzling. 12 contestants are split into 4 trios. Starting from varied spots, the contestants will encounter numerous hazards, constantly vigilant of their environment. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know what bit you. Every contestant is thinking about hunting crocodiles, as their meat would be enough to satisfy everyone's hunger. All past participants did great, yet if you're wondering about the most grueling season, this one takes the crown. The production team pushed the extraction point out to 40 miles, making survival in the wild riskier than before. In Colombia's wild, mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, and insect repellent hardly fends them off. Battling both intense heat and humidity, even the fittest struggle to endure. Remember, it's also the rainy season. Keeping body temperature stable is tough, and this season's contestants are really strong. But here, teamwork is even more important. It's either strong alliances or frequent conflicts. Let's see how the contestants performed this season. This season, contestants were thrilled to be left in central Colombia by the production team for a 40-day adventure. Reaching the extraction point hinges on teamwork. Simply enduring hunger won't cut it, as seen with Andrew's team. Cole and Kayla's team, all seasoned in survival, are mainly troubled by the mosquitoes in the area. The production team left them without insect repellent. In an earlier challenge, Andrew encountered numerous issues, from survival hardships to team conflicts, but also in mediating team disputes. The previous ordeal significantly honed his skills, with collective effort to tackle challenges. 40 days is not a big deal. They are all very confident they can complete the challenge. Meanwhile, the team of Adam, Ambrose, and Sam seems much more nervous. They feel there are too many dangers in this area, and accidents could happen at any time. Despite finishing 2 21-day challenges, Ambrose finds this tougher and hopes his team can handle the stress. To finish the 40-day trial as a unit, Tara, Linshi, and Nathan's group have begun their journey to the target area. Their biggest concern is the snakes hiding in the grass. There aren't many edible options here, and one bite could probably send you home. Tara despises the mosquitoes. Their relentless buzzing is tough to fend off with only a fire. Reflecting on the last challenge, his teammate was evacuated due to sickness, forcing him to finish alone. I'm eager to finish this challenge with my team this time, hoping it doesn't become a solo task again. Regarding physical fitness, he's got the survival skills to finish the challenge, but how he'll do with teamwork is a question. Chris, Mallory, and Sister Freeze form the final team, immediately greeted by unfriendly branches upon entering. The surroundings proved tougher than expected. Chris, having braved it solo before, holds strong confidence in his skills. Dealing with a cobra is as easy as having hands for him. As per the old rules, contestants must now strip off all their clothes. The production team is envious again today. Each contestant picks 2 survival tools before coming, with a knife being essential for wilderness survival. Regardless of location, it's always handy. The second pick depends on what you prefer. Haven't spotted anything too odd yet. All items are essential for surviving in the wild. Per the map, our next goal, the checkpoint, lies roughly 40 miles ahead. The distance, surpassing that of past challenges, demands meticulous planning of time and energy as they transition from savanna to jungle. Selecting the right path is critical for the team's success in this challenge. Adam, during his initial attempt. Once, I attempted to walk 21 miles over 21 days. Finishing left me utterly drained, bedridden for days, struggling to recover. This challenge is much tougher. We must swiftly choose our path since every contestant has different opinions. Whether we cover more ground early on or rush later, we'll need plenty of food and water to keep going. Thus, after a quick team chat, we aim for a water spot to fish and maybe hunt crocs. Unaware of the environment's severity, they opted for a resource-rich path. Adam, Ambrose, and Sam set their sights on the large river. They needed to trek at least 9 miles, a journey that could tire them from the outset. Moving in the sweltering heat adds to the challenge, often more taxing than expected. Shortly after starting, dehydration symptoms appear. They debate searching for water versus their 40-mile goal. They needed to use their energy wisely while they still could, as later success wasn't certain. Despite the difficulty, they had to persevere and push forward. Unaware of how much time had passed, they were completely worn out. Even Adam, with his vast survival skills, felt the strain. Had never encountered such harsh conditions before. He was still confident in his abilities, even when facing numerous bees while harvesting honey. In that instant, fear was absent for him. His concern was more about his team's endurance. Sam realized his sweat was diminishing. This signaled that dehydration was worsening. Unable to cool off and walking barefoot, it seemed like they could sense their skin sizzling. He was concerned that without finding water quickly, the heat could overwhelm them, despite being at a higher altitude. Yet, they found no water, worsening their irritability. Meanwhile, Tara, Linshi, and Nathan aimed to head further into the jungle, lured by the promise of more water and food, their main concern being snake bites. Facing the discomfort of heat and thirst, their bigger fear was the unknown dangers lurking in the grass. Opting for caution, they chose to advance more cautiously to avoid any mishaps. Nathan felt like they were reenacting how primitive people lived, even with his extensive survival experience. He wasn't sure he'd last till the end, but aimed to show his prowess and be a key asset to his team. Having covered barely 5 miles, they were panting heavily. Completing the full 40 miles seemed daunting, with their physical limits likely to be reached first. Dehydration was worsening rapidly. They had to locate water soon to make it beyond the mountain and forest. The journey ahead was far. Maintaining a consistent speed was crucial to reach the water source. At the same time, Andrew, Cole, and Kayla decided to head to a jungle 6 kilometers away. For those who love cats, I recommend you visit. Cole felt at ease about meeting snakes. He saw them as useful food. If time allowed, he'd have aimed to catch a few. He'd once survived a month solo in the mountains, living off his hunts, bow in hand. He felt sure he could secure meat with his bow and arrow. Now, aiming to catch a crocodile, their first step was locating water. They were keen to avoid dehydration on day one. Upon entering the jungle, they found a pond, allowing them to refill their water supply. Besides fishing for food, finding a crocodile pond would be a bonus. They could tidy the spot and build a temporary shelter. The main worry was mosquito nuisance. Then, Andrew yelled out, suffering from dehydration and leg cramps on day one. Moving ahead, I worry about more challenges. Adam's team barely covered 5 miles. We're still far from our target when we unexpectedly spot a small stream continuing towards the big river. Our bodies might not hold up. Adam thinks we should stop and boil water to drink slowly. He keeps thinking about his hunger but doesn't want to get dehydrated. After a brief discussion, we decide to rest here for a while. The first task is to boil water for drinking. The humidity is incredibly high, making it so hard to start a fire. Adam feels a bit of exhaustion, and with dehydration, it's a double whammy. I wonder if we can keep going. Adam endures the discomfort and continues to make fire, although it took a lot of time and energy. Ultimately, we succeeded in starting the fire, boosting our morale. Now, we're able to boil water for drinking. Later, we'll depend on Sam and Ambrose for shelter materials. I'll just sit, hydrate, and rest a bit. Chris's team aims for a swamp 10 miles distant. Having covered 6 miles already, their morale remains high. In the last challenge, Mallory clashed over the survival strategy and teammate, yet despite the disputes, but I still face the challenge positively. Whether it's collecting firewood or fishing, Mallory tries hard to complete the task. For this challenge, I wish for more collaboration and heed to my advice among teammates. On the first day, they covered the most ground. Trekking this distance has left our legs aching and us riddled with mosquito bites. Thankfully, they've pushed through and discovered a water source. This area must be rich in resources, including various fish and eels. The best thing to eat would definitely be caiman. A small wild dog can feed 3 people for several days. They can't wait to get into it. Tara's team hasn't found a water source yet. Their skin is already sunburnt to a crisp. It probably smells like it's cooked medium rare. Luckily, there's a jungle ahead where it's a bit cooler. The issue is the swarm of mosquitoes. Soon, my rear feels like it's been chewed up. Lynchy thrives on these tough challenges. Lynchy is really good at surviving in the wild. He even caught a bunch of fish last time. Plus, there are tons of earthworms here. Being bitten causes significant bleeding, and in such conditions, infections in wounds are more likely. It won't be as easy as just amputating it. Even if they're careful, there's no stopping the ants. There are just too many. They can only endure the discomfort and move forward. Chris feels the temperature is even higher inside. The most alarming issue was spotting big cat tracks close by, casting doubt on their weapons' effectiveness to deter them. On a brighter note, they discovered a nearby water source. They could gather water to hydrate, though the whereabouts of the caimans remained a mystery. Nearby, they discovered an ideal, cool spot for their shelter. Yet, tidying the spot proved too strenuous. Cole had spotted a decent area that, with some minor cleaning, would be habitable. The most important thing now was to quickly make a fire and boil water to drink. Everyone cooperated in collecting materials, as long as they could boil the water. Achieving this would mark the day as somewhat successful. Kayla, more exhausted than ever from past trials, felt the weight of fatigue and hunger on just day one. The sunset came faster than expected. They had to hurry to get things done. Pan Lazu still hadn't found a place to set up. The clarity of the water situation was obscured, and the threat of bites loomed. Bubbles in the water made them cautious. They didn't dare to move and preferred to stop and check rather than risk crossing. For now, this flat area seemed suitable. After a brief discussion, they decided to stay here tonight. There were no dry materials nearby, so they focused all their energy on the fire. They constantly fed and fanned the fire, aware it might extinguish any second. Time was running short. After Adam drank water, he felt revived and finally overcame the dehydration. They hurried to build a shelter. Sam and his previous partner worked well together, solving many difficulties. He felt that this time the team could do even better. The only problem was the abundance of ants. There were bite marks all over their legs. Chris's team spent a lot of time and energy to build a good shelter. Nearby termites could be used as insect repellent, simply crushed and applied to the skin. Previously, to get food, they made a small pond to catch fish. They were quite adaptable in surviving in the wild. They recommended everyone try it, as the insect repellent effect was really good. Chris had already set up the shelter frame. All they had to do was add palm leaves for cover. However, it wouldn't stop the muddy water. They wished their first day would have better luck. The Taira tribe awaited boiling water for drinking. Linchi proposed constructing a nearby shelter with a roof to shield from rain. Following a quick discussion, they sprang into action. Teamwork was flowing well so far, with no petty squabbles. All felt sure they could conquer the challenge, though Cole's circumstances were less favorable, especially with rain drenching their shelter. Shielding from the night wind is tough, and we're short on time to get more shelter supplies. We'll have to cope with what we have tonight. Andrew remains anxious, fretting over potential post-jail issues. The Tara tribe, exhausted, can hardly stir. Securing water, fire, and shelter on day one is a significant win. Chris caught the crocodile sounds. Given the nearby big cat tracks, we spent the night awake, worried we might lose something by dawn. Adam's luck worsened when he heard a big cat's roar, sounding close. He had to keep noisy to deter it. The large beast loomed near. Adam vigilantly monitored until it departed, then exhaled in relief. This wilderness is harsher than anticipated. Heavy rain began at midnight. Lynx's roof offered some protection, but we remained vigilant over the fire. We're riddled with bite marks. Sleeping in such conditions feels odd. The relentless rain dampened spirits. If it persists throughout the night, Cole's shelter could collapse. As the rain intensified, Adam quickly worked to safeguard the fire. The contestants were caught off guard by the early arrival of the rainy season. Making it to day 2 awake was a struggle. Cole's shelter suffered greatly. Luckily, the fire stayed lit. It's been hard. If the coming days are similar, my small frame really can't take it. Today, we must reinforce the shelter and waterproof it. Following a quick chat, all began to work. Cole, having gone days without sleep, was in a dire mental state. He wished to spare the others his ordeal. Adam's team spotted numerous big cat tracks nearby. It's perilously unsafe here. We could be attacked at any time. Everyone's mental state isn't great. We still need to finish the shelter. Adam isn't keen on fixing the shelter all night. He aimed for simplicity, not luxury. If it keeps us dry, that's enough. We should conserve as much energy as possible. There's still a lot more to do. Ember wants to go fishing. Despite lacking bait, it didn't deter him from fishing. He notched a stick and submerged it. After sticking it in the ground, just a slight touch would attract insects. In a short while, he actually made some bait. Is Dong aware of how this works? Now, Ember can try fishing with it, though how many fish he'll catch is unknown. Chris sooner slept poorly. We must improve our shelter today. I'm tired of the leaking roof. This time, the shelter's expanded, requiring extra palm leaves. The work's exhausting, and the waters are teeming with crocodiles. I'm pondering if securing some meat is possible, yet gathering materials demands caution. A single slip could lead to wasp stings from above. Being stung under the arm hurts a lot, and near Tala Zoo, the mosquitoes are even more unbearable. Their buzzing follows you everywhere. It's agonizing. The lack of sunlight is the worst, leaving us shivering in the cold. In such a damp environment, we worry about life every day. Based on the current shelter, we're adding a new framework. This way, there's more space to lie down and rest. It's also easier to maintain life inside. After a busy period, we finally got it done. I'm unsure about leaks. Lynchy was happy then, but Tara found it a bit uneasy. The dampness is real. We need to hydrate more daily. Thankfully, the fire's been ongoing. Otherwise, it's particularly troublesome to relight it. We must find drier materials and let them dry under the sun. Suddenly, Lynchy felt a bite. Luckily, it turned out she just stepped on an earthworm. A bite from anything else could have been much worse. The core tribe is actively gathering stuff to strengthen their shelter, yet usable materials are scarce. It's a mystery what's been chewing on them. Constructing the shelter demanded considerable time and effort. Now, resting on it is quite satisfying, ensuring we stay dry from nighttime rains. Was occupied with fishing, spotting numerous tiny fish. Just need to wait for a nibble, then quickly reel them in. Adam and Sam felt joy then, though the fish were tiny, offering just a bite each. Hope lingered for more food ahead. Once it got dark, Core was swarmed by ants. Sleeping well became a dream. This way, we'll lose our minds before long. The hardest bit is our roof got wrecked by those cut leaves. Rain means trouble. Making it to morning was tough. Core felt targeted by the cut leaves. In one night, most of the leaves were damaged. Staying here won't end well. We must rebuild. Now, we can only try to use fire to drive them away. Hopefully, the cut leaves will stay away from the shelter. Mallory's been restless for 3 days, still trembling from cold. Chris aims to build a heat reflector. With luck, this means improved sleep. Just gotta plant some posts and stuff them with palm leaves. Theoretically, it ought to keep more warmth in our shelter, though its real-world effectiveness is uncertain. Lynchy thinks we're managing pretty well so far. At least our shelter and fire are sorted. Now, it's just about fishing success. Surprisingly, the fish here are quite aggressive. They quickly snap the line, yet her confidence remains unshaken. See, we've managed to catch a fish already. Nathan shows how to quickly process a fish by biting the back of its head and breaking the spine. It's simple, brutal, and fast. It's just that it tastes bad. Cole's making a raised bed, covering it with grass. With luck, this will deter the ants. Gathering materials was a struggle for everyone. Sleep deprivation often results in errors. Andrew's finger is badly cut, beyond a quick bandage fix. Infections loom large in the wild. The doctor advises a hospital visit, but Andrew opts to stay, reluctant to abandon the challenge so soon. This is really bad for the team. Our work efficiency has halved instantly. Ambrose starts collecting bait to go fishing again. Adam, with a fish hook in hand, enters the water to find fish, eyeing a nearby small waterfall as a promising spot for more of them. Despite their small size, the fish accumulate to a significant total. Soon, a heap of grilled fish is ready to eat at the shelter after some effort. However, just these won't satisfy our hunger. We must also learn to trap a crocodile. Meanwhile, Cole attempts to rest on the bed. Eliminating the annoyance of mosquitoes would enhance comfort. Time to attempt fishing. Injured Andrew is confined to the shelter. En route, Cole snagged some crickets for bait, though he's fonder of bow hunting. As for Andrew, he can only do simple tasks. He feels he might not go far in this challenge. Lynchy thinks as long as we keep getting shark fins every day, we still have a good chance of completing the challenge. No sooner had he finished speaking than Tara injured her hand. It just shows that lack of sleep. This clearly shows how easily accidents can occur. We quickly got a doctor to address the injury. Fortunately, the wound isn't too severe. However, stitching was necessary to avoid infection, and without any pain relief, you can guess the agony. This only adds to our growing challenges. It's uncertain whether Tara can endure it. Cole and Kayla are busy fishing. Despite the abundance of water, they can't catch a single fish. Irritated, Cole tries bow fishing, finding it tougher than rod fishing. Crocodile hunting appears simpler. Cole tried many times without success, and instead scared away the fish near Kayla. Chris's reflective wall is working well. It's indeed much warmer inside. Next, we'll see how to get food. What they didn't expect was, unexpectedly, mosquitoes swarmed in, unaffected by the fire. The buzzing penetrated the screen, leaving everyone covered in bites. The worst was Cole's shelter, constantly visited by thieves at night. It felt like given more time, they might have entered the place given time. Sleep was out of the question. I longed to just torch everything. Reaching dawn on day 4 was a battle. Every leaf was destroyed. I had no idea how to halt their advance. It was a constant cycle of waking or nearly waking. Even with his injury and discomfort, Terra was eager to contribute to the team. Lynchy empathized deeply with Terra's sentiment. But sometimes it's better to rest. To get cleaner water, Nathan plans to make a well filter. Dirt can cleanse many contaminants. If the well's secure, direct drinking's possible. Nathan believes it's sufficiently deep now. The water's taste is decent. We'll check for stomach issues tomorrow. Andrew aimed to gather firewood, but he ended up injuring his finger. It hurt so much that he was in agony, with blood seeping out. He believed he was a burden to the team. The doctor advised returning to prevent infection. Cleaning the wound was so painful, it made him question life. Andrew didn't want to stay any longer. He just wanted to go home and heal. It's a pity to leave the challenge after just 4 days. Kayla is still immersed in the sadness of a teammate leaving. Cole doesn't know how to comfort her. He can only pick up a bow and arrow to hunt for food, trying to aim and shoot in the water, but the results are really bad. Cole broke the fishing line and still didn't catch anything. His mood became increasingly low. He felt he couldn't complete the challenge. Despite his regret for Kayla, Cole wished to leave the challenge. In one day, Kayla saw 2 friends depart. She felt quite miserable and didn't know how long she could last here. Let's wait and see. While some celebrate catching fish, this group snagged crocodile fins so massive, lifting them takes 3 people. Premium ingredients need only basic cooking, no spices, just fire roasting. It's already delicious enough. With one bite, your mouth is full of fat. I don't know if I sign up now. We're still savoring these treats, just 4 days in. Kayla's team has left already. Now, facing these challenges solo is tough. Collecting firewood alone drains me, and that's before even trying to light a fire or boil water for drinking. The hardest times were the rainy days. Our shelter was full of leaks, leaving me clueless on what to do next. Our only option was to gather near the fire for warmth, waiting to reunite with the others. Waiting for the rain to cease was a real battle. Let's check on the other teams. Last night was rough. We all stayed close to the fire for a bit of warmth. Uncertainty looms over us about future troubles. Despite our past success in the 21-day challenge, we're still 31 miles away from being rescued. However, this terrain is tougher. We desperately need food for energy and a method to fend off mosquitoes. Lack of sleep will lead to our bodies failing. Take Chris, for instance. Ticks burrowed into his leg. Out here, even minor injuries risk infection. Our only option was to use fire to remove the bugs. Grateful they hadn't penetrated our skin. Chris, overwhelmed by torment, barely managed to talk. Next, we didn't even know what to do. Although we really wanted to just lie down for the day, we had to endure the discomfort and get moving. The neighboring group is hard at work. Despite our fatigue, spirits remain high among us. Despite being 34 miles away from our exit, the food we found keeps our spirits up, allowing us to joke and chat. If you want all three of you to fill your stomach, so you alone can't be satisfied, and you have to try to hunt a crocodile and come back to eat. By doing this, they'll be energized for the journey. Adam's been readying his spear, eager for crocodile meat. As the team's spirits remain high, they push to improve their survival odds. Sam is eager to actively seek out food, not just wait for it to arrive. Eager to act, Sam plans to scout the unfamiliar terrain, aiming to find more food. Their resolve suggests they're intent on capturing the crocodile. Regrettably, no water was found en route. With dusk nearing, rushing to the swamp became urgent. We also need to set up a simple shelter for the night. Our group has pretty strong hunting skills, it's just bad luck that we haven't encountered any game. Fair is fair. Strolling shirtless through the grass easily leads to cuts. Sam, at the forefront, struggles. A sudden scream, poor Sam was targeted and stung by wasps. He endured the pain and quickly fled the area. I hope the guys below haven't gotten hurt. Right now, Sam really wants to burn this place down. Luckily, he's leading the way. The pair trailing didn't get injured, all due to his efforts. He's not keen on leading if there's another time. Meanwhile, Kira ventured solo into the wild to find food. For now, he can only use small animals as bait, hoping to catch a big fish. It's very hard to complete the journey alone. He needs to find another team to join, or he'll eventually be eliminated. Fishing is harder than I thought. He threw all the baited lines into the water, wishing for a catch by tomorrow. For the moment, that was all he could do. Ideally, the bait might lure plenty of fish, yet Adam isn't too optimistic. He's taking things step by step as he seeks out more food. Their main goal was to catch a crocodile to eat. The biggest concern while traveling in the high temperatures was dehydration, something Adam didn't want to experience again. Luckily, a shaded area ahead offered a brief respite to cool down and search for water, despite taking a while. Finally, I spotted the river. The resources here seem much richer. Now, the top priority is to boil water for drinking. We require plenty of dry stuff for success. Adam's on fire duty, while Ambwa seeks fish for our meal. Sam, on the other hand, prioritized rehydration before starting any tasks, cautious not to overdo it, despite Ambwa's fatigue. However, he was unwilling to idle away the time, sparking a dispute that culminated in Ambwa opting to fish solo, leaving Sam at a loss for words. He just hoped Ambwa wouldn't suddenly get dehydrated and faint. Ambwa's stance was not to give him any advice, he knew how to survive in the wild. He's aware of his own limits, but sees this challenge as a chance to push beyond them, ensuring he'll act accordingly. The Terra team has been struggling to locate food for a while, making Lynchie very worried. Terra's injury has only made him weaker. Without food for energy, contributing to the team becomes difficult. If this goes on, a doctor may suggest he leaves. Out of nowhere, a large fish appeared in the water. Nathan quickly seized the fishing net to snag it as Lynchie and Tara dived in, aiming to herd the fish his way. The plan was solid, but the chaos made it impossible for Nathan to see or find the fish in the water. Blinded by the branches in the water, Nathan, indifferent, simply tossed the net. Fortunately, today was favorable. Despite only snagging small fish and missing the big ones, Tara and Lindsay pressed Nathan for quicker catches. But he didn't want to waste any more time and, without a word, took his fishing line to another spot, leaving them stunned. I don't know what I did wrong, but the team atmosphere has become quite tense. Tara didn't dare say anything. She silently observed his fishing, her spirits sinking further. Meanwhile, Lindsay angrily tapped out telegrams before the camera. Desiring to dash forward and slap him, she felt a void in the team despite Nathan's presence. Kayla's gaze fell on the monkeys in the trees. Seeing the monkeys stirred a hunger for meat in him. Despite the crew's warnings, snagging some meat if possible wouldn't hurt, would it? Currently, our top priority is fixing the shelter. The banana leaves have been troublesome, and we risk getting soaked if it pours. We must build a more waterproof shelter. Many of the tree barks here are rotten, not leaving much usable material. It requires a lot of time and energy, always on the lookout for things like shoe spiders inside. Kayla feels it's too hard to do alone. If bitten, I'm afraid it would be the end. Cleaning the tree bark well attracts fish with the bugs hiding inside. The tree bark doesn't seem enticing to fish initially. I'm wishing for good sleep once the shelter's up, though I'm growing more fatigued. Without a quick food boost, quitting and resting at home might be next. Despite the pain, I hauled the bark back. Transporting it repeatedly could wear me out. Chris is gathering firewood to avoid relighting the fire. Aiming to build a big wood rack to boost efficiency. It's been alright, just short on food. Affected by hunger, everyone's in a poor state of mind. Suddenly, we found a fat bait, perfect for luring. Mallory has been looking for bait, and with this, he's very confident he can catch fish. He believes that as long as he prays to the fishing gods before fishing, there will definitely be a catch. There are still quite a few fish swimming around, constantly trying to walk deeper. Despite the bait being so enticing, it just doesn't lure the fish over, making Mallory frustrated. Sam continues to diligently search for fire-making materials, while Adam and Ambrose fish, Ambrose considering venturing further out for a better catch. Adam seems to have spotted something. Who would have thought there'd be a crocodile in the water? This really excited Ambwa. If they could catch that crocodile, Catching the crocodile meant no food worries for days. Adam, crafting a noose to secure its mouth, cautiously moves towards the water. The noose, mere meters from the croc, snaps on, and immediately, the large creature begins a wild struggle. Adam uses his body weight to subdue it, and Umbwa takes this opportunity to quickly help out, although it looks a bit awkward. But catching a crocodile is satisfying enough. Adam is now incredibly excited. You know what? Yes! It's quite large. Just its tail alone could feed 3 people for a day. Now we can take a closer look. I wonder how crocodile meat tastes. Does it resemble chicken? Getting the fire started is crucial now. Eating it raw is out of the question. Catching another crocodile would boost their confidence in finishing the challenge. The team's mood is improving. It's nearly 100 pounds and might take around 2 hours to handle. Chris is so hungry he can't stand it, hoping to encounter a crocodile or a snake. The weather is getting hotter, and it's really getting hard to bear. The humidity is unbearable, making it tough to keep going. Not long into our walk, dizziness hits me. Finishing this journey seems almost impossible. Out of nowhere, I feel a bite and rush back to the shelter to inspect. A thorn had pierced my toe. It hurt so much I can't stand up and walk. Now I can only rely on limping. However, fishing isn't going very well. Although there are fish swimming nearby, none are taking the bait. After repeated attempts, we finally catch a small fish. We could use its guts for bait, thinking it'll lure more fish. With that idea, Mallory gets right back to fishing. The results are indeed much better than before. Soon, more fish are caught. After a busy time, we have 6 fish. We can have grilled fish. Chris and Sister Dawn are thrilled to have meat to eat. They put it directly on the fire to cook. It tastes incredibly delicious. The bones are crunchy. Finally, my stomach feels a bit better. Because Nathan acts alone, the team atmosphere becomes awkward. He doesn't communicate, just silently works. Tara's deeply concerned about Nathan's mindset. It's a team effort, not a solo mission. I attempted to reach out to Nathan, yet he remained unresponsive. Tara's frustration grew, longing for another partner in the challenge. Realizing my injury limited my help only deepened my guilt. Nathan mistook it for mere stage fright. When focused on work, he didn't want to interact with others. Tara and Lindsay needed Nathan's help. Survival here would be tough without it, they said. Nathan felt compelled to adapt. He was aware his conduct was subpar and wouldn't easily improve. Nathan wished for his team's understanding, eager to finish the challenge as a unit despite his cognitive challenges. So, the more people around, the quieter he became. After some communication, the relationship eased quite a bit. Tara finally understood why he was like that. In an effort to ease his integration into the team, Nathan noticed an advantage. Despite physical exhaustion, he remained task-focused. He could keep going, which actually suited outdoor survival, though teamwork was a bit of a challenge. Lynchy thought Nathan was very strong. With more communication, there definitely wouldn't be a problem. Sam was busy transporting a crocodile back. They were on the brink of heat stroke, with no fire at the shelter and no water to drink. Suddenly, the crocodile became a cumbersome load. They needed to consume the meat, bearing the discomfort of hauling it, even by taking shifts. Yet, it remained overly burdensome for them. Sam was exhausted to the point of blurred vision. He needed to get some water to cool down quickly, fearing he might overheat. Sam didn't want to waste time on himself. The shelter wasn't far ahead. He endured the discomfort and carried it back. Upon returning, Sam quickly lit a fire to purify water. He left the crocodile for Adam to manage, allowing himself a moment to rest. Over the coming days, they'd relax and enjoy crocodile meat, a thrilling prospect. Meanwhile, Kayla worked on enhancing their shelter. The initial strategy was a no-go. They needed to fill it with dry grass. Kayla was worn out after completing just a bit. Finishing today felt like a distant dream, and the prospect of yet another uneasy night only deepened her gloom. If only a teammate could help, she wouldn't be so tired. Adam was busy cleaning the crocodile. The unusable bit served as bait, while the tail, surprisingly, had the tastiest meat. His regular workouts were obvious. Without the worry of illness from uncooked meat, he'd be slicing sashimi now. A large grill is essential for cooking this crocodile meat right. Even without any spices, it's clear from the screen how tasty it looks. Despite the struggles, Adam indulged in the crocodile heart's flavor, rewarding himself. The crocodile meat was surprisingly chicken-like and outstanding. They're even thinking of raising some back home, finding it superior to steak. Things were looking up. Sam believed they were the top team and could surely finish the challenge with all members intact, just as they were doing. The Tara tribe was tormented by mosquitoes, making it impossible to get a good night's sleep here. They said fire could drive away mosquitoes. However, the local mosquitoes seem unfazed by any attempts to repel them. I'm covered in bites from head to toe, constantly feeling like they're swarming over me. I wish I had packed an entire box of bug spray. I wished I'd packed a box of bug spray. The insects swarming Chris were relentless, their buzzing ever present. In this setting, no one can get a good night's sleep. Our mental state is only getting worse. The worst part is watching Kira. Our shelter can't keep the bugs out at all. Taking shifts to ward off the onslaught is impossible. We're drained and endlessly batting at mosquitoes now. I have no idea how long these days will last. I really want to quit the challenge and go home for a good sleep. Making it to dawn was tough, and now I'm riddled with bug bites with no relief in sight. Visibly worn out, Kira pins her hopes on the bark, hoping for a good night's sleep once the shelter is up. We desperately need food to boost our energy. Our fishing efforts yesterday were fruitless, we didn't catch any fish. I felt even more disheartened then. I thought this challenge was over for me. Chris didn't feel good at all. I might have slept less than half an hour last night. I just want to go home and lie in bed to rest. Now, I'm so miserable I've started crying. At that moment, Dongjie was really concerned. Unsure how to soothe me, she simply remained by my side in silence, hearing me out. He was in bad shape, too weak to do much. Dongjie believed a good night's sleep might help. Dongjie was confident Chris would recover with rest, but right after, she began vomiting, worsening the situation. Immediately summon the doctor for an examination, hoping it's merely dehydration. Following a quick check and chat with the doctor, he believed Chris was unfit to lead further, likely due to an insect bite infection. A hospital visit for rest and recovery was advised. The doctor gave him an injection to ease the symptoms. If there's no improvement later, we'll have to force him to quit the challenge. Chris doubted his ability to continue. Was this the end of the challenge for him? Upon waking, Adam and the crew began consuming meat. Having over 100 pounds of meat can sustain 3 people for days, but in this setting, it's a challenge as it spoils quickly. Thus, they aim to consume as much as possible. They also intended to craft crocodile skin shoes today, useful for future travels. It would protect their feet well. Adam first scraped the meat off the hide, then it had to be dried. The problem is the humidity here is too high. Drying it over the fire is a last resort. It smells bad and might not even work to prepare the crocodile skin right. Linshi worries about finding dry firewood every day. After a day's work, he probably only collects a little. Maintaining a fire here is tough. Without Tara's injury, he'd be eager to help outside. Being in the shelter gets dull. He's just wishing for his team's outdoor quest to succeed. Linshi and Nathan find the surroundings monotonous. It's easy to get lost, even if you've just passed by, and then you come back again. There's no choice but to call Tara for help. At least to figure out where the shelter is. Tara thought he was being called to catch crocodiles. I'm curious, what if Tara also got lost? While gathering materials together, they stumbled upon a snake. Seeing it as an unexpected meal, they couldn't resist. Tara chopped its head off with a knife, easily securing meat for them to eat. Linshi hadn't seen such great meat in a long time. He was so excited he almost cried. Tara showed him how to quickly prepare the meat. Eating directly towards the heart is the most delicious. There could be plenty of snakes out there for food, possibly simpler than fishing. The roasted snake was delicious. Despite Chris's injection not improving his condition, which worried the doctor, all 3 felt they could still persevere. Despite feeling quite uneasy, a quick examination showed no issues, allowing Chris to keep going in the challenge. The doctor believed Chris's issue was mental. Overcoming it meant he could remain. Chris, however, dismissed this as nonsense. He had no choice but to stay and keep going. Kayla was too tired to stand up. She could only rest a bit during the day. Uncertain of catching fish, Kayla found that more water didn't aid her. To hasten drinking, she tried cooling it in the stream. It was a good idea, but she was too tired to hold it steady and spilled it. Kayla's mood. Tears fell uncontrollably. The challenge's harshness took her by surprise. Perhaps leaving was the best option. Chris was just starting to feel a bit better when a heavy rainstorm hit. Stuck in the shelter, there was nothing to do. Chris was really disheartened, not wanting to go on. He yearned to leave the challenge and return home. No matter how much his teammates tried to persuade him, it was no use. They could only watch Chris leave. In less than a week, 3 contestants had already quit. You can imagine how tough the environment is here. Chris quit the challenge, but Mallory and Dongjie, though feeling a bit unwell, are still determined to finish the challenge. Kayla's fire died, and heavy rain continues outside. It's impossible to relight the fire now. It's so cold that I'm shivering. Enduring the discomfort, I went outside and used leaves for cover. The rain didn't stop till morning. Resources here are scarce. Linshi suggests fishing further away. If the environment there is suitable, they could move their shelter there. Kayla isn't fully on board, yet acknowledges the scarcity of food. Ultimately, they opt to venture out, taking a chance. Feeling utterly miserable, Kayla contemplates leaving the challenge. Yet, she opts to check on Yuzan Na before making a final decision. The outlook seemed bleak. Their bait was gone, just as she felt defeat loom after enduring so much. For the first time, Kayla caught a big fish. Overwhelmed with joy, she shed tears, then hurried to the shelter to light a fire and cook it. Although she thinks about giving up every time, the smell of the fish makes her feel like she can keep going. Terra's group is unsure of their walking duration and distance from the water. Terra is hit hard by dehydration. He's beginning to wish he hadn't joined. His body's at its limit, forcing him to just squat and rest. Finding water remains doubtful. Those who've tackled crocodile hunting know sneaking up and clamping its mouth means even the slight can catch it. Of course, that's only with small crocodiles. After some processing, this white meat is like a gem. Simply cook it over the flames. It has a scent that outshines the chicken leg you're holding, wondering if the fish is just as tasty. By day 7, Tara was really struggling with dehydration, making it tough to walk in the heat. Our only option was to get teammates to fetch water. Right now, the smart move is to locate a stream and excavate a well for water. I doubt Tara can keep up. Jungle walking is tough, and she's lagging behind Nathan near the creek. Also, ants everywhere on the ground. Super annoying. Finding a small pond took ages. We can't rest yet. We must quickly dig a well for Tara's water, which will also consume time. Nathan discovered a spot not far off. If we fend off the nearby monkeys, it'll free up time to boil water for other needs. The river water seeps in very quickly. Nathan used dried bananas to soak up the water, hoping Tara will like this murky water. The water must sit a bit. Tara's growing weaker. Nathan's only option is to return with it for now. Tara felt so overheated, she doubted her existence. Luckily, Nathan acted fast. He just needs to quickly hydrate now. The water tasted sweeter than expected. Finally feeling a bit better, Tara could stand up and move again. We got a rush to catch up with Lin Shi. I feel like I'm holding us back, especially with my earlier injury. Dehydration has halted me. Thankfully, my team's support keeps me in the challenge. Without them, I'd be out. The most miserable, Tara, has lost a lot of weight. He's very irritable now, having to deal with everything himself. He's too drained to do it all, but must still make time to fish for food if this goes on. Completing the challenge seems impossible. Tara's strategy is to proceed gradually, employing fish bones as bait. Attracting a crocodile would be amazing, but if one actually showed up, could Tara, with his slight build, manage to lift it? Tara's already laid the bait here, where you can spot fish schools. Ideally, you'd snag a fish, or even a croc. Catching only fish isn't too bad. Tara's really counting on this for more food to satisfy his hunger. Otherwise, a single pot won't sustain them for the trip. Meanwhile, Adam's days involve eating crocodile or resting. His days are quite comfortable, but just one crocodile is not enough when this meat is almost gone. Adam believed catching another croc would sustain us. Sam dreamed of daily crocodile feasts. Come morning, Ambwa found one near the water. He aimed to turn the large fish ditch into a trap, using innards for bait, confident it'd lure the crocodile. Ambwa was quite confident about it. You could almost smell the stench through the screen. I bet the crocodiles around could too. Ambwa placed it where crocodiles usually roam. As long as it jumps for this bite, we're set. Ambwa set it up perfectly. Now, we wait for nature's play. Sam was confident we'd breeze through the challenge when suddenly, he was hit by intense pain below. Who'd guess a tick had dug into him? It seemed to drill deeper. Sam had no desire to share Ambwa's fate. Adam felt lucky to escape the tick's bite. The pain seemed to leap off the screen. Ambwa advised against pulling it out. It could easily get infected. Best to call a doctor to handle it. The crew was caught off guard by this. Now, only tweezers were an option for the doctor. Adam just couldn't look. Afraid he'd be next. Luckily, it was finally removed, seeing that big tick dancing around. You can imagine how much Sam was in pain. After disinfection, he felt much better below. Tara finally met up with Lindsay. Though the place isn't big, there's a small beach area. There are lots of small fish in the water. The resources here are enough for them to recover. Lindsay was quite satisfied with it. Tara was dizzy, non-stop. Nathan tried to catch some fish with a net, hoping this decision was right. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and effort. But the net got stuck as soon as it was cast. Tara just sat there quietly, not speaking. Lindsay was very worried about her. She seemed on the verge of collapsing. Nathan, trying to fish, caught nothing. The team's mood soured further. Should we fail to secure food within 2 days, our physical strength will surely falter. Had we foreseen this outcome? Tara believed staying put would have been wiser. Now, heading back to the shelter seems best for a night's rest. After Chris left, Dongjie and Mallory relied on fish and wild fruits to barely keep going. Mallory was mainly responsible for fishing. Now, the weather is hot and humid. Every outing drains a lot of energy. If we don't land 7 or 8 fish at once, today's efforts are in vain. Dongjie's busy gathering more firewood to sustain our fire. While I'm picking a good amount of berries to take back, staying upbeat is key. It's vital for wilderness survival. This is incredibly important for survival in the wild. Mallory catches a fish, but it's not very big. It barely adds a bit of energy. We need to get more food. He tries to make a fish trap out of vines, with hopes that it'll snag something in the water. Completing the 40-day challenge on such scant food will be a tough task. Maintaining our strength will be challenging. We've got the fish trap set and quickly submerged it. Hoping the bait lures them in, the Taira tribe heads back. Walking in the jungle at least spares us from sunburn. This journey's been rough. Given how we're feeling, physically and mentally, another adventure seems tough. Yet, if there's a chance, Lynchy still wants to explore further. Tara thinks it's his fault. If it weren't for his dehydration and breakdown, maybe his teammate could have gone further. He still needs his teammate's care now. He needs plenty of sleep and lots of water. Although Lynchy and Nathan think it's nothing, Tara is very disappointed in himself. He's eager to leave the challenge and return home. Soon after, Kyla is overwhelmed. The daily need for firewood is immense. Just collecting it is exhausting, and now she has to keep the fire from going out. She can only close her eyes and rest for a bit. Sleeping through the night is unattainable. Lacking food and proper rest, finishing the challenge solo becomes too challenging. In the middle of the night, crocodiles in the water startled Dongji awake. Their proximity was unsettling, raising fears they might venture ashore towards their shelter. They decided to actively scare them off. The crocodile, not too large, was frightened away by just a bit of noise. If it weren't so dark, I could have gone hunting. Hopefully, we'll encounter it again tomorrow. Mallory is confident he can hunt without getting hurt. Adam's meat attracted ants from nearby, making it impossible to sleep well. Every now and then, I feel ants crawling on me. Getting some rest would be great, but too much meat has its downsides. Sam's feet are swollen from bites. Should the allergic reaction intensify, it might seriously risk his life. He finds his predicament utterly dismal. There's not a single spot on my body that's intact. It was a struggle just to make it to day 10. My butt's almost been bitten into a lychee skin. You can guess how rough last night felt. Suddenly, Crack Meat's lost its charm. Still, I'm set on finishing this 40-day trial. It's crucial we get enough rest. Sam's feet swelled up so much, standing's tough now. Ants will swarm again after dark. We need to make a higher bed. Adam thinks we can use the surrounding trees for support. Originally, we didn't plan to make the shelter too fancy since we'd have to move after a while. But Sam's problem is really serious. We need to support her during this hard period. Just gotta make sure the base is solid, then layer it with branches for a platform. Layer it with palm fronds. Without crocodile meat for energy, other teams couldn't finish this. Mallory is very interested in the crocodiles in the water. If he could hunt one, he and Sister Freeze could recover a lot of strength. What we lack now is bait. We can only see if there's any catch in the fish basket. Such a big basket only caught a small fish. Rather than consuming it, using it as crocodile bait is smarter. Sister Freeze is fully on board with that idea. Consuming another fish makes no real difference. However, catching a crocodile does. It means we're set for food all week. Mount the fish head on the hook and prepare it. With the meal right at its doorstep, the crocodile should bite. This way, we can reel in the crocodile using the fish hook. Mallory feels confident about their chances and is eager for a smooth hunt. It's his debut in crocodile hunting. He's thrilled, having placed bait on the crocodile's usual path from last night. Now, we wait to see if it shows up tonight. Tara feels terrible, as if she's been beaten up. Her mood is getting lower and lower. Instead of comforting her, Lynchy believes more food is key. If Tara eats and sleeps well, he's convinced things will improve. 30 days remain, and as we grow weaker, we must catch more fish to regain our strength. The fish in this area are quite tiny, barely enough to curb a hunger pang. It's as if eating more only increases their appetite. Eating 7 or 8 small fish is necessary for fullness, yet satisfaction remains elusive. Sadly, crocodiles haven't shown up here. We must stay optimistic mentally, or we'll be crushed by the environment here. Kayla hasn't had a full meal in a long time. Every day, I check the traps I've set, but they're not very effective. I need more food to keep going here. As Kayla's hunger made her ponder existence, a sudden sound broke the silence. My mind raced to pythons or similar creatures. Turns out, it was a crocodile. It didn't look very big. It would have been great if my teammate was still here. Hunting alone is too dangerous. My small frame can't overpower a crocodile. Despite this, Kayla decided to take the risk and try, even though he was very weak. However, this little crocodile posed no issue. I successfully captured it, ensuring a decent meal at last. Truly, those of us who've come this far aren't merely getting by on hunger alone. Even solo, I can hunt on my own. I'm more confident about completing the 40-day challenge now. Currently, I'm relying on fishing for food. I've slowly gotten used to this place. Fishing's gotten simpler. I believed I snagged a large fish to eat. But I was so weak I couldn't hold on, and the fish escaped back into the water. This really frustrated me. Now, I've lost the desire to keep fishing. I must rest and recover. It's hard to accept all this effort, and enduring so much pain. Injuring my foot tops it all. It proves that when luck's against you, even walking can be a problem. Kayla is busy dealing with the crocodile. Luckily, it's not very big. I can handle it myself. It's just the mosquitoes nearby are a bit annoying. It took a lot of time, but I finally got the meat. Next is to cook the crocodile meat. To ensure it cooks through quickly, I cut the meat into smaller pieces. Smoking the meat extends its shelf life. Without the risk of getting sick from raw consumption, I'd eagerly gulp it down. After cooking, the crocodile meat smells really good. No wonder the production team suggests catching it to eat. For Kayla, this is very important. After eating this crocodile, My body will recover a lot. Then, I can leave here to find other teams. Only then will I have a chance to complete the challenge. Things are looking up. Adam's team is crafting a new shelter, and the boost from the crocodile meal is kicking in. Is now almost depleted. Although it's been tough, the structure looks very perfect now. There's no longer a concern about ants at night. Sam's gathering as much wood as he can before returning. He's avoiding lying down due to discomfort. Out of nowhere, thunder boomed overhead. Looks like building's off for today. Guess we'll just light a fire in the shelter to stay warm. I hope this downpour ends soon. We don't want to spend the whole night tending to the fire. The Tara tribe isn't so lucky in this regard. The shelter is leaking everywhere, and the worst part is that the firewood got wet. We can only huddle around the fire, trying to dry it out as much as possible. Seems like sleep's off the table tonight. We all need to guard the fire to keep it alive. Out of nowhere, Shamu's hit with intense pain. It feels like I've swollen all over, as if something is about to burst open. The temperature has dropped significantly, and I'm shivering from the cold. We had to summon a doctor immediately. Sam was clueless, especially with his kidneys feeling on the brink of bursting. The doctor quickly checked Sam and found the situation graver than expected. An injection was needed to combat the infection. This temporarily relieved the pain. The main issue is the severe insect bites here. If Sam doesn't improve, the production team will have to forcibly take him to the hospital. Mallory and the others aren't doing much better either. The weather is just too cold. The fire offers no warmth. The sole positive is the crocodile caught in the trap. The traps worked, yet nothing was caught. Making it till morning was a real battle. Lin Shi, shivering and starved, confessed to the camera his urge to quit and head home, feeling utterly miserable. He found the challenge overly tough and wished his teammates could advise him on whether to stay or leave. Tara and Nathan didn't know how to comfort him either. If he really couldn't bear it and wanted to leave, their persuasion would be useless. Despite this, Tara and Nathan wished Lin Shi would persevere. At that moment, Lin Shi was torn, his body signaling it was time to leave. Despite his body's warnings, Lin Shi's resolve was bolstered by his teammates' support, prompting him to persevere a bit more. Even with injuries and dehydration, Tara kept quiet about quitting, making him think he should stick it out too. The rain had ceased. Sam's health hadn't gotten better. He believed he hit his breaking point, merely awaiting a doctor to convince him to exit. Adam and Amber believed more rest would heal Sam. Despite feeling awful, he didn't wish to weigh down the team. He was determined to ease his team's load by working hard, despite his condition. A noble idea, yet persisting in this manner would further weaken him. Yet, after consuming crocodile meat, Kayla felt rejuvenated, even preparing a large pot of it for herself. To gear up for future trials, they had to craft shoes from crocodile skin, sent to Sousie for a thorough clean. Not a bit of meat could be left on it, or the whole skin would rot and stink. Kayla was very thankful for her previous challenge partner. Without her hands-on teaching and guidance, she wouldn't have thought to use the skin to make shoes. She had improved a lot compared to before. She hoped it would dry in time after washing. Adam had finished the shelter's base, they just had to finish the roof now. Building it wasn't difficult, it just required a lot of materials. Sam felt increasingly weaker, and had to go back for a drink and rest. No matter how strong her will was, it was hard to fight against her body. Sam's teammates offered her comfort, wishing she'd rest while they completed the shelter. She hated feeling like a burden. Despite her desire to finish the challenge, Sam could only say sorry. Aware of her tough spot, the production team stood by and waited close by for her exit announcement. Unsurprisingly, Sam was the fourth to exit. If she can, he hopes to participate again next time, feeling that his abilities shouldn't just stop here. So, even if you have crocodile meat to eat every day, you might still quit the challenge due to other problems. Adam and Amber were quite downhearted at that time, but the challenge had to continue. They hoped to quickly adjust their emotions. After Sam left, there was no time to continue feeling sad. They had to hurry to finish building the shelter. Now, only the roof was left to be done. Judging by the current pace, they should be able to move in before it gets dark. Mally didn't catch any crocodiles, feeling extremely downhearted, now even losing interest in fishing. Dong Jie proposed they keep using bait for crocodile trapping, convinced it couldn't elude them every attempt. They spent a long while scrutinizing the water together. The crocodile has to be in this water. If they pinpoint its location, they can set the traps more effective. Nathan felt the team was very negative now. Such a mood is very deadly in wilderness survival, especially Tara. The atmosphere felt tense, as if she might blow up any second. Disliking this, Lin Shi went fishing to calm his thoughts. Last time, due to the use of knives, he didn't get along well with his partner. For him, communication was very important. Suddenly, Tara yelled, asking them not to touch her stuff, even though no one had touched it. Lin Shi was fed up with the team and had no desire to remain. Meanwhile, Mallory was determined to comb through the water, convinced they'd find a crocodile despite the odds. Yet, the harsh truth hit hard. Their efforts yielded nothing but exhaustion, leading them to the brink of vomiting. His health and spirits were declining. Dong Jie believed persisting like this wasn't the answer. It would be better to catch more fish. Adam's shelter was almost done. Now, they just needed to place the fire pit properly. They needed to use branches, clay, and corpse pieces to separate it, to avoid setting the whole shelter on fire. Fortunately, they had all sorts of materials around. Gathering materials was easy, and they sensed progress. The new shelter was cozy. Unfortunately, Sam chose not to join them. By day 12, Kayla had hoped to craft shoes from crocodile skin, but the drying effect wasn't very good. Some parts had already fallen off, and it smelled terrible. It's a pity. Their only option was to attempt another catch next time. Upon waking, Mallory discovered the bait missing. The crocodile had returned last night. He felt utterly defeated, blaming the crocodile for his inability to catch fish daily. Mallory's health is deteriorating. Frost believes he's on the brink of leaving the challenge. By day 15, having eaten the last of the crocodile, he opted to seek out a new team. To prevent sunburn, he covered himself in mud, aiming to ease his journey. Despite consuming plenty of crocodile meat, trekking remains tiring. It's unclear if he can locate another team. Let's wait and see. These three women are something else. They caught that crocodile with just a simple trap. They expertly managed it, using every bit of the crocodile. They made skewers and cooked them over the fire. Even without any seasoning, you could smell the deliciousness through the screen. How much do you think this would sell for? Kayla had lost track of time walking before she stumbled upon a water source, uncertain if other contestants would be around. She aimed to swiftly refill her water in the somewhat familiar surroundings. Finding new teammates was beyond anyone's expectations for Kayla. Mallory and Frost were stunned, thinking they were seeing things. The sight of Kayla alone sparked their curiosity. Through talking, they learned her team had left the challenge, leaving her to fend for herself. Mallory was surprised by her resilience. After losing her teammates, she was still able to catch a crocodile. They are much stronger now. Now they have a better chance of catching a crocodile. Kayla was surprised her new teammates hadn't eaten well until now. Mallory is also in bad shape. He's deeply concerned they may soon lose another team member. With no better alternatives, they're forced to proceed gradually. Everyone wonders if Kayla joining can change the dire situation. Let's look at the group next door. Tara's team. Finally, the day to remove the stitches has come. Hopefully, the wounds have healed well so Tara can rejoin the challenge. Tara hopes not to weigh down her team. Unhealed wounds might mean it's wiser to rest at home and try the next challenge. Fortunately, the wounds have healed nicely, she just can't get them wet yet to avoid infection. Tara aims to hone her archery skills, aspiring to hunt in the jungle after a long period of inactivity. Her aim is solid, and she's gaining confidence in her fitness and ability to finish the challenge with her team. Observing Tara's improved morale, Linshi is pleased. Their next steps hinge on their hunting success. Nonetheless, given the scarcity of resources, we're pondering a relocation, but getting food remains our main focus. Sam leaving didn't disrupt Adam and Umbwa's survival pace. Initially, Umbwa aimed to hunt with a bow and arrow. Surprisingly, humidity likely caused Sam's bow to snap. Let's hope he finds a sturdier one later on. No choice but to rely on fishing. Yada feels there are still plenty of fish here, although they aren't very big. But as long as there are enough of them, we can still have a feast. After some busy work, we got 6 fish, feeling pretty good. Quickly taking the food to the shelter, Adam was surprised to find parasites there, making it unsafe to eat. These fish definitely can't be eaten. Without fish meat to replenish our strength, we can only set our sights on crocodiles. Terra is looking for food nearby. He doesn't know what's edible here. It would be best to encounter a crocodile. Suddenly, he spots a flock of birds. They are quite big, immediately slowing down and walking over. If we can catch one, everyone could have a meal. Terra has entered shooting range. Only one chance to shoot. The pressure is immense. Unfortunately, it was just a bit off. Terra watches the food fly further away, feeling quite terrible. That bird was standing still, and yet he couldn't hunt it for food. Now is not the time to be sad. Terra must continue looking for food. But walking all this way, there are no animal tracks on the ground. He doesn't know where to get food, can only keep walking deeper. Adam and Umbwa plan to use parasitic fish as bait, hoping to attract the crocodile. Since eating crocodile meat, Adam feels extremely tired. But still, we have to set traps. He doesn't want to move to another place too early. Now just need to move the hook a bit. By doing this, catching the crocodile becomes simpler. They picked a nearer spot, hoping to lure it with fish. If we can't catch it this way, you'll have to discuss with Umbwa where to go next. After Kira joined the new team, they resumed their search for nearby crocodiles. Nightly, they spotted them approaching but failed to capture any. The fish basket could only catch small fish for bait. Kira feels there's still a chance to catch a crocodile. They're just a bit unlucky. Mallory is utterly drained yet pushes through the pain to manage the traps. At that moment, Kylo was deeply concerned. He's keen on not pushing anyone away once more. Convincing them is futile. Best to scout for nearby food. Currently, they've stumbled upon just berries. Consuming these won't satisfy hunger. They desperately need protein for energy. Nathan's occupied with crafting ropes. He's aiming to construct a simple trap for small creatures, using a stone propped by a branch. The moment the bait's disturbed, it drops. Nathan, famished, is unsure of his catch. Still, it's low effort. They haven't eaten meat in ages and urgently need sustenance to continue. Without it, moving forward is tough. Linshi is searching for food in the jungle and finds many traces nearby. It's very likely dug out by pufferfish. Setting a trap here will definitely yield something. So, a snare was set up at the entrance. It's really hard to gather food here. She urgently needs to refuel with food, or someone's bound to drop out of the challenge. The trap seems promising. Uncertain if any prey will wander into the trap, night brings another heavy rain. Adam feels content with the shelter's condition, not worried about being affected by the torrential rain at all. It's miserable for Trazu. The shelter is already flooded like a small river. Sleeping is definitely not possible. They have to watch the fire all night, constantly adding firewood, hoping to last until dawn. Reaching the dawn of day 16 proved challenging. Nathan thinks the situation is dire as their reserve of firewood is now depleted. Now, they must gather more wood. Linshi spent a restless night fretting over the rising water. Caterpillars have crept into the shelter. You should know the caterpillars here are very poisonous. Touching the skin feels like a burning pain. In severe cases, it can even be fatal. If this appears on the bed at night, just thinking about it is terrifying. Mallory hasn't given up on catching crocodiles. He requires additional bait to lure them in. Kyler fully supports this plan, believing that capturing a crocodile will improve their situation. He's willing to skip sleep tonight to wait for the crocodile. Confident in his ability to catch it, the question now is if they can also reel in more fish. The nearby small bay is teeming with fish. Kyla casts her line and quickly they snag a fish. This truly thrilled them, showing fishing needs experts. Makes me wonder, do the other two just observe without helping? Freezing means I don't have fishing gear, as long as it's not awkward on the road. Kira thinks the more bait, the better. Adam's team aims to trap crocodiles for food, wishing one is already snared. Yet, the crocodile snatched the bait and escaped. Their frustration mounted. Will we starve again today? They wondered. Just then, Enbo spotted something. A snake was discovered lounging on a tree branch. Adam went straight up the tree to trouble the snake. He wouldn't miss any chance to find food. Enbo was quite worried about this. Getting bitten would mean trouble. Adam searched for a long time, but found nothing. He didn't want to waste time and energy on this. Better to go back to the shelter and rest for a while. Adam thought of going back to the previous waters to look for crocodiles. The past efforts took a lot of time, and even if we catch a crocodile, it's troublesome to bring it back. If we can't find food again, we might have to take the risk and go back there. Linshi and Nathan checked the traps. They found nothing but noticed tampering signs. This confirms food presence in the hole. Confident, Linshi repositioned the trap, sure it'll succeed when the creature emerges. We need to keep our distance after to not frighten it with our smell. Linshi's really anxious about securing food. I just don't know when we'll be able to eat meat. Nathan's trap was also triggered without any catch. Now, we can only reset it, then go back to the shelter and continue to be hungry. Tara thinks that continuing like this is not okay. We need to expand the search area. After a brief discussion, we headed to unexplored areas. Not far away, we found some wild fruits. They tasted pretty good. Gathering them can help restore some energy. We collected them while walking. These can only satisfy our cravings. Finding meat remains crucial, but local resources are dwindling. Perhaps advancing to new areas is wise. Linshi suddenly screamed. She accidentally touched a caterpillar, and her entire leg went numb instantly. She immediately called for a doctor. Blisters started to form on her leg. Linshi didn't expect to be so unlucky. She didn't want to quit the challenge because of this. The doctor arrived swiftly for an examination. Her leg had begun to swell, yet it wasn't as severe as feared. The toxicity was relatively low and not fatal. It would subside with some rest. The doctor left without even administering antibiotics. Linshi fretted over her leg's recovery, hopeful it would heal. Meanwhile, traps were laid on the road. Crocodiles often visited this area. He was convinced they'd snag one eventually. With preparations complete, they simply awaited a crocodile to fall for their trap. Linshi's mood had soured significantly. They'd been on the move for much of the challenge, making it tough to rely just on Elle for completion. Finding food was tough, and with water levels dropping, they needed to relocate further away. Linshi planned to check the waters 15 miles away, but Taylor thought that was too far. Instead, they decided to try their luck at a small pond 6 miles away. After a quick chat, they agreed to head to the closer pond tomorrow, where they'd still have the strength to construct a shelter. Hoping the resources there would be abundant, Nathan felt so cold he wished he could stuff himself into the fire. They had to keep adding wood to the fire, hardly getting any sleep. Keilazu also didn't rest much. Just to catch that crocodile, they could hear it struggling all night. They eagerly waited for dawn. They immediately went to trouble the crocodile. It didn't look very big, a bit worried it might snap the line. Kayla circled to the rear, managing the crocodile's actions, and quickly summoned Mallory for assistance. As a team, They finally caught the crocodile. It was quite small, barely enough for a meal, but it was enough for them. First, let the body recover some strength. They could definitely catch a bigger crocodile later. It turned out they still had to rely on Kayla. Without Kayla, depending just on Mallory and Dongjia could mean facing hunger. They quickly set to work on preparing the crocodile. Eager for the meat, Adam and Umbwa, craving crocodile, opted to return to the initial spot. They smeared charcoal on their skin to prevent sunburn and chose not to carry water. I wonder, boiling water in such a manner. Don't they worry about the shelter's safety? The familiar path felt much more exhausting than before. Kayla had already cleaned the crocodile. Although the meat wasn't much, they planned to smoke it to eat less. Aiming to secure meat for the coming days, Kayla figured a little fat could make soup, using the dry bits as bait, hoping to find more crocodiles to eat later. First, reward themselves with some grilled crocodile meat. It had been a long time since they smelled meat, wishing they could taste it right now. Mallory felt much better. Even through the screen, you could smell the meat. Nathan faced a tougher challenge, with scarce firewood around. He aimed to avoid daily searches for it. Lynchy feared Nathan might exhaust himself, given the uncertainty of tomorrow's journey. He suggested exploring alternative methods to obtain firewood. Nathan said they were already halfway through chopping it. Stopping now would only make things worse. Lynchy was utterly speechless at that. He wasn't going to help chop, but Nathan felt that to keep the fire going at night, they needed to chop down this wood. Tara knew it would be like this, so she didn't try to persuade Nathan. Lynchy was very worried about the team right now. Everyone was busy with their own things, showing no sign of teamwork. He really wanted to join another team. Nathan occupied himself with retrieving wood, while Tara worried her continuous effort would lead to exhaustion. What worried her most was tomorrow's journey. If dehydration or other issues arose, they probably wouldn't last long. Tara could only help by processing the wood. Despite Lynchy finding it silly, he joined in the wood chopping. Unity was key, and they had to support one another. He worried Tara might injure her hand once more. Yet, as the team collaborated, progress was swift. Nathan believed felling the tree was truly beneficial. He didn't want to shiver from the cold in the middle of the night. Adam and Umbwa were still on their way, feeling unbearably hot. They suddenly found crocodile tracks on the ground. Not far ahead was a pond where the crocodile must be. If they had goggles, Adam would have wanted to dive in and explore, but the water was too murky. Despite not knowing the crocodile's location, they still ventured into the water, believing it was the only way to locate it. Despite their efforts, they never spotted it. Adam felt let down. The crocodile eluded them. Their only option was to attempt fishing. Mysteriously, their previous success in catching fish had vanished, leaving them with nothing. It felt terrible. Kayla, on the other hand, was eating crocodile and was in a great mood. The roasted meat was bitten off in one go. The taste of crocodile meat filled their mouths. Eating it daily, they wouldn't mind staying not just 40 days, but even a year would seem easy. Dongjia found the crocodile meat incredibly tasty, yet regretted it was just a brief treat. They needed to figure out how to secure more meat soon. If Kayla had joined the team earlier, they might have had a crocodile feast and wouldn't be starving and lacking strength now. Despite being an all-female team, possibly implying less brute strength, their collective effort and belief in teamwork. We can definitely overcome the challenge together. Adam and Amber are still worried about food. They've been here for quite some time, yet we've caught no fish at all. Dehydration's hitting us hard. We really should have packed water. Now, our only option is to head back without success and hope to find food en route. Despite the rough journey, despite the setbacks, it beats lingering in the shelter with hunger gnawing at us. Thus, we trek back, utterly spent, almost sensing our own weary flesh. The duration of our walk is unclear, yet Umbwa's dehydration worsened. He yearned to simply collapse into the water for a rest. Adam's also under the weather. Previously, hauling the crocodile didn't exhaust him, but he's finding it tough now. Fortunately, the waterfall was close by. They both reached the shelter soon after, with Adam rushing to refresh himself with the water. Umbwa could only stay aside to cool off, as the situation was getting worse, to the point of vomiting. Adam had no solution at the time. He could only make him drink more water to replenish. Umbwa was so tired that he just wanted to lie down and rest if possible. I truly hesitated to chase that crocodile. Adam considered encouraging Ambo to hydrate more, yet Ambo was unresponsive, erring on the side of caution. We immediately called a doctor to check on him. Thankfully, it was just a bit of dehydration and heat stroke. He needed to drink more water and rest. We tried not to overexert ourselves. Adam was particularly worried about this. He didn't want to lose another teammate. The challenge's intensity was growing. Tara's team devoted much effort to collecting firewood, which Lynchy had several thoughts on. Let's hope we're not too drained to proceed tomorrow, Lynchy expressed concern. Meanwhile, Nathan was energized, eager for what lies ahead. On the other hand, Adam's team is struggling significantly more. They're both so exhausted it's unbearable. Lacking food for energy, they're on the brink of collapse. On the 18th day, the Tara tribe awoke early, eager to start before sunrise. They needed to maximize their time and progress further. Despite having just half a jug of water, their resolve to finish the challenge remained unshaken, exhaustion notwithstanding. If we only depend on what's here, we'll stay hungry. Umbwa's still not better. Dizziness is getting worse. Speaking now drains us. Adam's too spent to do anything but rest. Catching a crocodile soon is crucial for our energy. Otherwise, it'll be tough to complete this challenge. Taraz has already walked more than 2 miles, and he's utterly exhausted. Plus, being constantly exposed to the sun feels like walking on a hot plate. Taraz is finding it especially hard to breathe. We need to pause for a bit despite the distance ahead. After resting briefly, Taraz pushes on, bearing the pain. Now, we can only walk a bit before having to stop and rest again. At this rate, it'll be hard to make it before dark. Taraz feels like he's holding the team back. He wants to quit the challenge and rest in a hospital. Linshi keeps comforting Taraz, hoping he can persevere, at least to accompany them to the new location before quitting. In the end, Taraz decides to keep going, hoping to make it to where Xiaoxi is. Kai La is still enjoying crocodile meat, feeling better and better, even live streaming to sell products. For those who like eating crocodile, remember to follow and like first. We guarantee 100% wild crocodile, never fed any feed. We promise tasty meat at a great price. Want something else? Drop a comment. While delivery isn't assured, we're committed to pleasing all. Dong Jie's new crocodile recipes await your taste. Taraz is under a mile away, yet the fatigue is overwhelming. The real trouble? Thunder kicking in now. While it spares us from the sun scorch, continuous rain could seriously hinder our shelter construction and night rest. Following a lengthy journey, we've reached our spot at last. The water here is ideal, promising for both fishing and crocodile hunting. Now, we're rushing to build shelters and then trying to start a fire. In the end, they decide to build on higher ground. Just need to cut down the surrounding trees and build a simple A-frame. With the 3 of us working together, we swiftly complete the frame and then layer it with palm leaves. Our body temperature falls fast, so taking a break would be wise. Linshi starts to shiver with cold. Luckily, the rain stops before night, letting us slightly dry our materials. Suddenly, Taraz screams. Who would have thought he'd get injured again, this time cutting his foot on a stone? He feels very down, really dragging the team's pace. Taraz dislikes constantly needing help. The doctor, feeling overexposed this season, believes he deserves higher pay from the production team. In this setting, catching infections is easy. Our only option is simple disinfection and bandaging. The pain is so severe, he screams out loud. Adam's condition is getting worse by the day. The worst part is finding worms in his stool. It's very likely they are infected. The situation is quite bad. We can only call a doctor to have a look. Even the doctor isn't sure what kind of parasite it is. We'll begin with medication and await test results for certainty. There's concern Umbwa might also be infected. Let's wait and see. While others need traps to catch crocodiles, this person only needs a knife to sneak up behind one. Easily dealing with the crocodile. Look at the white meat inside. Who wouldn't like it? Try to keep the skin intact. Besides, it's perfect for crafting shoes. Pure wild crocodile leather footwear. Truly priceless and not purchasable. I still prefer these skewers. You can smell the aroma through the screen. What do you think would make it even tastier? By the challenged 18th day, Linshi and Nathan had the shelter ready, with injured Tara observing from the sidelines. At that moment, Tara felt truly miserable, finding even walking a challenge. It's uncertain if she can finish the journey ahead. She still has many survival skills to show off, but proving them has become too difficult. Worry that even if her foot heals, she fears her injuries could further hinder her team and dreads the ongoing struggle of deciding whether to give up. The challenge seems ill-fitted for her. Linshi wishes Tara would worry less and prioritize her foot's recovery. He's confident they'll conquer the challenge as a team. Yet, despite Linshi's reassurances to Tara, they don't seem to have much effect. Tara becomes even more negative. Nathan doesn't have time to comfort her. He needs to hurry up and finish the shelter. He can't risk it not raining at night. The worst part is finding big cat feces on the road. They have to be careful of its attacks at night. Nathan feels the challenge is overwhelming. Were he not so drained, he'd think about relocating their shelter. Suddenly hearing a noise, Nathan immediately runs back to the shelter. Adam and Umbwa are now extremely weak. Uncertain if parasites are to blame, their stomachs are a mess. Catching fish is now out of the question. Only some berries are still edible. There's still a long way to go. Adam now doesn't want to do anything. He just lies there resting, while Umbwa's condition is slightly better, having managed to get some food to replenish their energy. Despite worrying about parasites, Umbwa takes the risk of fishing, hoping to catch some without worms. Would you risk eating these fish? Catching them is simple. Right after he mentioned it, a fish slipped back into the water. Umbwa tells himself the fish must have parasites, which makes him feel a bit better. After some effort, he catches quite a few fish. It's unclear how many fish can be eaten. Luckily, 3 are good to eat, and Umbwa quickly brings them to Adam for a taste. Despite not spotting any parasites, Adam is still uneasy, fearing the fish could make him very sick. Yet, he knows he must eat to maintain his strength. They try to cook the fish as thoroughly as possible. He really doesn't want to get infected with parasites. They haven't finished eating the small crocodile meat from Keilazu yet. Daily, they maintain high morale, not seeking additional food, worried they might run out of meat. Mallory worries about their food situation, while Kayla and Frozen's sister are unfazed, confident they'll snag more crocodiles soon. With no other choice, Mallory has to set traps himself. The smell is incredibly foul, almost knocking him out. He places the bait on the water's surface, hoping it will attract crocodiles. Lynchy hears thunder outside again. Starting a fire has eluded them, and nearby drywood is scarce. It seems another cold, shivering night awaits. Luckily, Terra's well-kept fire starter enabled them to ignite a fire. For the moment, their state is just bearable. For better sleep, they must strengthen their shelter. Once done, their rest improved significantly. Out of the blue, a big cat's roar startled them, making all three spring up, alert. It lurked near their shelter, frightening the photographer enough to consider fleeing. Luckily, just then, thunder boomed, scaring the big cat away. Meanwhile, Adam's situation isn't looking good either. Even sitting by the fire, he still feels extremely cold. Kaylazu's shelter is leaking everywhere. They need to keep an eye on the fire all night to keep it alive. Kaylazu's fire is fine, but the jerky ended up soaked. They need to consume the crocodile meat soon or it'll spoil their daytime joy. Now they are just as sad, having to manually remove the water outside. They don't have to sleep all night. We must continue laboring until the rain ceases. Reaching dawn was tough, leaving us completely drained. Whether it's food or the fire, everything's gone. It's like we're back to square one after last night's exaggerated rain. The shelter seems on the verge of falling apart. Our top priority is consuming the crocodile meat before it spoils. We aim to consume the meat before it spoils, not discard it. Luckily, the flood didn't sweep away our bait, keeping our hopes of luring crocodiles alive. The odor is so strong, you can detect it from the road. Kira thinks it's irresistible to crocodiles, even more than traps. We must also strengthen our shelter, collect supplies, and reignite the fire quickly, as time is running short. As Kira placed the bait, we noticed a crocodile entering the water. We quickly alerted our group to start searching. Upon scouring the vicinity, we indeed spotted a lurking crocodile. Its massive size filled us with immense joy. We need to devise a plan to capture it. Meanwhile, Nathan and Lindsay are occupied with fixing the shelter, given last night's leaks and big cats around. We couldn't sleep peacefully at all, whether physically or mentally. Tyler feels like he's reaching his limit. Tyler seems on the brink of giving up. Meanwhile, Lindsay's busy in the jungle, finding materials like palm and banana leaves. These are ideal for crafting roofs. We must keep the fire lit during rain. Currently, Tyler is either resting or sitting dazed. Or sitting there dazed. If this continues, he'll definitely break down. He wants to try walking to help gather firewood, or go hunting for some food. Although his teammates hope Tyler can rest well, he insists on getting up to work. Otherwise, he might as well quit the challenge and go home. Lindsay really can't persuade him. Let's just pray we don't encounter a big cat on the way. Thus, we three ventured into the jungle on a hunt. Adam and Ambrose's condition is deteriorating due to limited food and parasites. Adam's on the brink of passing out and depends on Ambrose for food. He thinks resting might help him feel somewhat better. Today, Adam's stomach pain is worse than before. Catching another crocodile would greatly help them endure the 40 days. Ambrose, too, aims to catch a crocodile, but his health means he'd just watch it leave if he found one. Suddenly, he sees a fruit fall down. Could this be a gift from nature? It tastes a bit like apple. Adam really liked it. If we could gather more, it would help restore some energy. After a busy period, Adam collected quite a few. He planned to bring them back for Adam to try. Just as he was thanking nature, suddenly, a large rat scurried by his feet. Maybe trapping it for food could be a viable option for their journey. Adam felt content with the plan. He could return and share with his group as Tara braved the discomfort to hunt. He felt fully capable of hunting. In theory, animals would come out to roam, but he saw nothing on his way. His spirits sank further. Spotting a bird in a tree proved challenging. Tara cautiously moved closer to it. Once in range, Tara aimed his bow. Unfazed, the bird merely stared back at him. Frustrated, Tara shot an arrow directly at it. Clearly, his archery skills needed more practice. Lynchy felt this was a waste of time and effort. It would be better to think of ways to catch a crocodile instead. Tara thought it was just bad luck. Next time, he would surely succeed in hunting. Adam came back with fruits to share, talking about catching rats for food. His mood was low, only wanting to taste the fruit. It was really delicious. If he could eat some every day, his health would surely improve. Adam had been resting lately, feeling slightly better now. Fortunately, Adam sought out food, avoiding the need to alert the production crew. He aimed to construct an uncomplicated L7 trap, which was just 2 sticks fastened together with a rope on one side. As soon as it entered the noose, the trap would instantly activate. Adam was optimistic about their chances of capturing something, as food was crucial for their strength renewal. Adam believed setting the trap in an open spot with fruit would surely lure rats, offering them a shot at finishing the challenge as a team. Things seemed to be looking up. Lynchy found some worms for fishing bait, noticing the river's wider span. It seemed possible to catch large fish, yet only tiny ones appeared, adding to the growing frustration. Nathan went further to look for food. Along the way, he found some fruits to eat. Survival in the wild requires constant exploration. Exploring for additional resources is crucial. While walking, Nathan noticed something in the bushes and quickly subdued it with a stick. Unexpectedly, it was a small lizard. Though tiny, getting something to eat lifted our spirits. The lizard, tiny enough to rip apart by hand, unexpectedly contained eggs. These could be used as bait for Lindsay, even if we choose not to eat them. Today, we didn't see any big fish. Instead of wasting time and energy, it's better to rest back at the shelter. Tara is really weak. Her fat reserves are the only reason she hasn't quit the challenge yet. Nathan returned to the shelter, and Lindsay's mood slightly improved upon seeing the lizard and its eggs. The meat was too little, barely enough to whet our appetite. The more we ate, the hungrier we felt, wondering when we would have a proper meal again. Adam's shelter couldn't keep the mosquitoes out. The buzzing sound all night made it impossible to sleep well. Adam preferred fishing over staying in the shelter. Initially just to pass time, he actually caught a catfish. The fish was quite big and free of parasites. Tonight, we can enjoy stewed fish. Ambrose had already fallen asleep. He wasn't woken up by the smell of the meat. With no choice, Adam ate with tears, feeling increasingly better. He believed perseverance would see them through the challenge, while Kayla's team slept soundly. Mallory was thrilled when a crocodile bit the bait, immediately waking up teammates for a hunt. Kayla thought it best to wait for the crocodile to tire out before pulling it up, relying only on the light from our equipment now. Pursuing prey at night poses risks, yet Kayla, undeterred, plunged into the water to overpower the crocodile. However, its will to survive made it struggle wildly. There was no choice but to wait until daylight to see. The challenge had reached day 20. Upon waking, Mallory's initial action was to search for the crocodile. Despite the torn trap ropes, fortunately, the crocodile hadn't left the vicinity. Right away, he fixed the trap correctly. Snaring the crocodile was crucial for the strength we needed to finish the challenge. Time was running out. Although Adam and Ambrose were physically weak, their spirits were still high. Ambrose was unaware of Adam's late-night snack. He thought it selfish, yet understood the desperate hunger driving it. We've entered the second half of the challenge. We need to plan how to complete the remaining journey and focus on recovering our strength. Umbwa's traps went off, but sadly, they caught no food. All we can do is set them up again. Next, we need to gather some firewood and bring it back. For the terror group, making it this far is quite an achievement. The road ahead remains vast, and we're in dire need of food to boost our energy. Despite our lengthy stay, a crocodile sighting has eluded us. This is nothing like what the production team told us. The hardest part is finding food. We heard a noise coming from the bushes. Could it be a big cat out for a walk? Everyone was extremely nervous. We carefully observed our surroundings and suddenly saw a crocodile. This could be our chance to catch it. This meant we'd be set for food for a while. Quickly, we moved to ambush the crocodile, believing it was hidden. In an instant, Terra struck it down. Although it wasn't very big, it was quite satisfying for him. Terra felt he could really do this. We need to press on. We can surely finish this task. No time for tears of joy yet. Let's quickly get to cleaning the crocodile. Working together, 3 of us speed things up. Seeing that white fat, I'm tempted to just eat it now. So far, skinning is going smoothly. We quickly strip the crocodile meat and will dry and smoke it when we get back. By doing this, the meat lasts longer, so we have daily meals. Lynchy believes this is the true allure of wilderness survival. Only those who've lived it grasp its greatness. The unusable parts serve as bait for fish or traps. Both options work well. After all our hard work, we're set for a hearty meal. To keep the meat fresh, we just adjust the shelter a bit. The meat is smoked over the fire. Tonight, we can fall asleep to the smell of meat. It's been too long since we've had meat. It feels like it's melting like butter. It's just too delicious. It's no surprise everyone's eager to hunt crocodile. Kyla feels content just seeing the meat rack. Today, our primary goal is to feast until we're full. It's crucial for regaining our energy. It's as if we're beginning the challenge anew. We have the energy to do more things. Everyone is confident we can complete the challenge. Kyla's ancestors aren't so happy, though. Failing to catch a crocodile followed by a heavy rainstorm really lowered our morale. Our shelter just couldn't hold up. We had no choice but to keep adding leaves on top, shivering from the cold. This weather was truly torturous. Adam had it even worse. The rain was blowing directly into their faces, barely keeping the fire going. We worried the rain wouldn't let up, making it tough to stay warm. Huddled together, chewing on crocodile meat. We skipped fetching firewood to properly smoke the meat, planning to collect it once the rain eased. But it only got heavier, not stopping until nightfall, thwarting our plans. Adam and Umbwa could only huddle by the fire as the water level rose significantly. Luckily, our shelter was elevated enough to avoid flooding, unlike Kailazu's, which was submerged. The fire could go out at any moment. It was truly miserable. If the rain doesn't stop by tomorrow, we'll have to move to higher ground. We almost didn't survive until morning. Adam and Umbwa's area was seriously flooded. Continued heavy rain could submerge us soon. Our shelter could end up underwater soon. Seems we need to find a new spot. The grasslands, 7 miles off, look promising. We've got quite a distance from our exit spot. Today, we'll get our gear ready for departure. A doctor visited to assess Adam's health, which has improved a lot. Adam can continue the challenge, just needs to drink more hot water to ensure his body functions normally. Umbwa can finally ease his worries. We'll aim to gather plenty of food to satisfy our hunger before resting up for departure. Tara watched the fire all night. Thankfully, the jerky wasn't wet and the smoking was perfect. Today, we're making bone soup and roasting meat. Things are looking up. Nathan's been devouring the meat non-stop. He required the fat to regain his energy. Linshi, having never tried crocodile before, was surprised by its delightful taste. It's unfortunate we forgot seasonings, yet the meal is still delicious. We hope to enjoy it again once we return. Fortunately, Tara kept at it, or we'd have missed out on the tasty meal. Kyla suffered the most. Last night, the rain had already flooded the shelter. Now, there's a lot to do. Kyla hasn't given up on catching crocodiles. However, the pond's water level has surged, complicating future crocodile captures. Umbwa had plans to fish. However, the rising water has made finding food harder. We must return and face hunger again. The resources nearby are too scarce. After a brief discussion, we decided to move to another place tomorrow. However, the mosquitoes at night are just too many. It's impossible to get a good night's sleep, severely affecting our rest. Adam would rather go night fishing than stay in the shelter. I must admit, night fishing yields great results. After some effort, I snagged a few fish and quietly enjoyed a solo midnight snack. If I were Ambrose, I might have quit the challenge in frustration. Over at Kayla's side, a crocodile came by. They couldn't let this opportunity for food slip away. We immediately went to check the pond. The crocodile was bigger than we thought. It tried to escape, but we quickly followed and managed to control it after a busy struggle. Finally, we took down the crocodile. Now we have to hurry to clean it up and use the stinking innards as bait. With hopes of luring more crocodiles, our simple yet sturdy setup was designed to hold a crocodile's weight. Adam and Ambrose are ready to move. Adam is glad he ate eel last night. He's sure he can make it through today smoothly. Ambrose felt baffled learning about the eel. It was surprising that a teammate would secretly eat. This upset Ambrose greatly. Was Adam sneaking of food justified? Anyway, Ambrose can't forgive him. Kayla has been busy dealing with the crocodile. It's really big. It's enough for us to eat for several days. Today, we'll try to eat more to replenish our strength. We can't waste any edible part. A portion of the meat gets smoked on the grill, drying out over 3 to 4 days. The end result is pretty impressive. Happy days are back. As long as it doesn't rain heavily later, all we need to do is keep eating. At the same time, Tarazu's making crocodile skin shoes. They've dried well and shield against rocks and thorns. It's just that there's too little crocodile skin, only enough to make one pair of shoes. The finished product looks pretty good. Ambrose is still angry with Adam. Despite this, we must relocate as a group. Predicting the duration of our trek is challenging, and as the days pass, the heat keeps rising, leaving us parched. Ambrose has been without meat for ages. Whenever Adam's uneasy, he simply reclines, indulging alone. Adam doesn't share his food. If Ambrose falls from being so tired, it's on Adam. Ambrose can barely speak now. He just wants to find a place to rest quickly. Adam keeps asking how he's doing, making Ambrose want to slap him. Suddenly feeling very nauseous, Ambrose's condition is quite bad. He thinks it's all Adam's fault. After a short rest, Umbwa wanted to keep moving forward. Do you think they can make it smoothly? Let's wait and see. This is the most abundant wilderness survival food I've ever seen. Every day there's endless crocodile barbecue and various fruits for dessert. The most unexpected thing is, they've got mangoes too. Bite into one and see the juice spray. It hardly seems like wilderness survival. If you said it was a vacation, I'd believe you. On the 22nd day of the challenge, Adam and Umbwa were trekking to another place. Umbwa showed early symptoms of dehydration and heat stroke, making Adam fear he'd collapse any moment. The tree shade offered a bit of comfort. Initially, they believed rebuilding their shelter was necessary, but Tira's unexpected presence was a welcome surprise to everyone. Following a quick introduction, Umbwa had to drink water and rest. He really needed to eat. Linshi quickly led their new ally to the shelter. There was barely any crocodile meat left, just some fruits, and no fire. They had to use kidney filtration for water, causing Nathan concern. The new member's health was poor, sparking fears they might soon give up the challenge. Umbwa feared drinking too much water might make him vomit again, which deeply worried Linshi. Now, their only option was to give him more rest. Luckily, Qianyi found Linshi and the crew this time. If not, they'd be stuck boiling water to drink. Kayla's team grappled with the crocodile meat, not seeking new food until it was all consumed. With the jerky they had, reaching a new location was feasible. Kayla suggested relocating near a bigger water body for better resources. Kayla was sure the resources would improve. Following a quick chat, they agreed to grab the jerky and relocate. Heading to the big lake 10 miles away, this move was harder than expected. Everything had to be prepared properly, especially storing the fruits and jerky. The most important thing was the water source. The biggest fear on the road was dehydration. Hoping for the best, Tara's shelter must be upgraded fast with the team growing. The area's a bit cramped, but Nathan resisted making it bigger since they might relocate soon. Ensuring no water seeps in is key. Lynchy helped Umbwa cool off in the water, making him feel a lot better. His body temp started to cool off slowly. Even with plenty of resources around, Lynchy's group didn't get much food. With Adam, Ann and Bo on board, survival as a group got tougher. Adam aims to leverage his power for a ground pounce. To dodge the ground and mosquitoes, the already cramped shelter felt even smaller. Adam's bed took up a lot of space, and the others were lying on the ground. And Bo felt that Adam really had no sense of boundaries. He took up a third of the shelter space, making Tara quite uneasy. Nathan, seeking a breath of fresh air, considered stepping outside. Suddenly, Nathan ran into a snake but had left his knife behind. His friends rushed out to assist, yet the snake vanished into a tree, becoming difficult to see. Seeing that the food was gone, everyone felt even hungrier. The Kira tribe has been here for 23 days. They are set to relocate, smearing mud on their skin to shield against the sun's harm. Despite their thorough preparations, the idea of trekking 10 miles made the challenge seem daunting. Hoping their bodies can hold up to the destination. Carrying a bit too much, they had to rest every once in a while. Bidding farewell to their shelter, they began their journey to the lake. With time, the heat intensified. Now they can only pray to rest before dehydration sets in. After resting, and Bo felt much better. He's now able to help the team look for food. Catching a crocodile would be ideal to feed all 5. If not, they'll struggle to quell their hunger. The problem is, Tara only saw a crocodile. Nothing else was found. They could only explore further away. Following a quick chat, 3 volunteers, including skilled bow hunters Adam and Tara, set out to search for food. He was very confident in finding food. The Kira group didn't know how long they had walked. It felt really bad. Walking felt as if on a scorching surface. Maintaining a steady pace was crucial to avoid physical issues. It's best to walk in the shade. Suddenly, they saw a small flower on a tree, which might have fruit to eat. Upon a detailed look, they found plenty. All were packed into the pot for a snack if hunger struck during their journey. This would help replenish their energy. Gathering took its toll, making their journey feel increasingly burdensome. The fear of not making it to their destination without collapsing loomed large. Lynchy, Ann and Bo decided to set some traps, but they didn't see any nests nearby. While searching for animal tracks, Lynchy felt eager to contribute to the team, focusing solely on birds for the moment. They tried to set up more traps in the trees, hoping to catch anything that touched them. Theoretically, they shouldn't be able to escape. Setting traps didn't consume too much energy. Even catching a small bird would be great. They didn't know how many traps they had set up. They planned to check the traps the next day and collect some fruits to eat. Working together, and Bo and Lynchy felt much more relaxed. Helping each other, they might complete the challenge more easily. Lynchy wondered if the hole might contain water. Catching something there could mean a full meal. Anyway, setting traps was the right move. With so many, they were bound to catch something. Kaila's group headed into the jungle along a stream. Uncertain of what lay ahead, they proceeded cautiously. The murky pond added to the uncertainty. Adam believed food might still be found and pondered going into the water. Yet, they opted to first scout the surrounding area. As Kaila's team ventured into the forest, they enjoyed the cooler shade but feared an unexpected snake encounter. A snake bite would be more serious than just calling a doctor. Marlo was really tired from carrying the fish basket. He needed to stop and rest, or he would eventually exhaust himself. Kaila didn't know what went wrong. His stomach ached, probably from overindulging in fruits. He regretted his greediness. Despite this, after a short rest, they decided to continue on their way. They were already halfway there. The sky looked like it was going to rain. However, not long after, Kaila felt sick again and couldn't even eat jerky. Kaila's pain was so intense he yelled, but he pushed through, not wanting to hold the team back. He felt a bit relieved only by moving forward, yearning to expel all the fruits. Periodic rests were necessary. Marlo fretted over not making it before nightfall. If Kaila faltered, calling a doctor for him was necessary. Kaila was determined to keep going, refusing to quit. At the same time, Lynchy felt pleased with their crocodile shoes. Catching more crocodiles meant everyone could have shoes, avoiding cuts from rocks. Although he hadn't known Lynchy for long, and Bo knew he could be trusted, and Bo had a big problem with Adam. After all, he returned from night fishing and selfishly ate alone. If we had shared that meal then, I likely wouldn't have faced dehydration and heat stroke had it been different. Lindsay was surprised by this. Adam's actions really impact our teamwork. I don't want to forgive him. If Adam does something that harms the team, I will definitely stand with everyone. Lindsay is at a loss for words. Should Adam keep acting selfishly, a serious conversation is in order. He's oblivious to these worries. Focus solely on catching a big fish to eat. Nathan's fishing net seems more like it's dredging up trash, not catching a single fish. The resources here don't seem very abundant. Tara is quite puzzled about why there's hardly anything. Not even seeing a few spicy strips. Continuing like this is just a waste of time. Adam plans to leave the rod behind, hoping for a fish catch on his return tomorrow. Adam found today's search utterly fruitless, draining both time and energy. Despite Adam and Bo's recent arrival, we might have to relocate if tomorrow yields nothing. Adam feels he's ready and can leave for a new place at any time. So, is he really not considering Bo's condition? Kaila's team is nearing their goal, but Dong Jie fears she might lag, needing frequent breaks, constantly offering her encouragement, which Kaila deeply appreciates. Nearby, the tree leaves darken. It seems we'll soon find that lake. It's Marlu's first time seeing such big trees. He hopes there will be more resources inside. They found mangoes not long after entering the jungle, which delighted them. They immediately tasted them, feeling rejuvenated. Most importantly, mangoes are good for digestion. After eating them, Kaila felt much better in her stomach. Grateful for the gifts from nature, now more hopeful to complete the challenge. And that lake is not far ahead. The nearby resources exceed expectations, especially the fruits. Given the vast lake, they're convinced crocs must be around, despite the trek's distance. But seeing the outcomes, it turned out to be a success. Now, we need to quickly set up a shelter. Scouting the area, the spot by the mango trees looks good. Following a quick chat, they agree to construct in the clearing. The main problem? Loads of ants. They need to elevate the shelter. If not, the ants will surely feast on us at night. Building one is new to all of us. Kaila believes it's mainly about elevating the platform. Kaila says if it stays up, it's good. Sounds simple, yet perfecting it demands much work and time. First off, we need to collect materials. Kaila's group came back to the shelter empty-handed, with no food found. Relying solely on fruits is hardly sustainable. Kaila suggests soaking in water for healing. Next, we need to decide whether to stay here or to trek to another location. Adam thinks if we don't find food by tomorrow, we should prepare to move. Adam is sure he can endure the move. Lindsay realizes departure is inevitable, yet Bo's just begun to recover. Could he rest a bit longer? Adam sees no need. He believes moving on is crucial. Securing food is paramount. And Bo is distressed. Adam's single-minded pursuit of provisions disregards his feelings entirely. The team atmosphere instantly becomes tense. Although Tyler knows how uncomfortable it is to be dehydrated from planting trees, if we want to complete this challenge, we must secure enough food. The resources here are insufficient for everyone. He can't wait for Bo to recover. To succeed in the challenge, sacrifices are necessary, hinging on Bo's resilience. Lindsay proposes waiting till tomorrow to decide. If we can find some food, Bo can rest a bit more. Tyler agrees to Lindsay's suggestion. If we find nothing, should we leave if Bo's sick? Your choice? Bo gets it, but it's tough. The thought of being sacrificed like this is incredibly upsetting. He blames Adam for this. If he had shared some food, he wouldn't be this weak. Kaila's tribe is currently trying to build an elevated bed. Ideally, I'd prefer not to remain here. The ground ants are constantly biting our legs. They're making us lose it. Finishing today's impossible. We've got to at least build the platform. Kira always feels like something is burrowing into her skin. The bugs here are worse than we thought. At most, we can last another week. He doesn't want to be bitten all night. His health is getting weaker, but Mallory is still working hard. He can't stop to rest just because his teammates are. We need to get the sleeping area ready. For now, Nathan can only gather some fruit to eat. Consuming too much can upset the stomach, yet he's unfazed. If it satisfies hunger, it's okay. Occasionally, the fruit comes with bugs. That's premium protein, boosting our energy. Teammates prefer resting in the shelter over searching for food. They don't want to look for food, relying on Nathan to bring back fruit. We need to drink a lot of water every day. We aim to hydrate, not anticipating a wild boar encounter while fetching water. It might be small, but it's delicious when roasted. Tara speared it right away. It looked like a little lobster. Everyone got just a small bite, but we were all so happy. Lindsay thinks the food here is too scarce. It's hard enough for one person, let alone 5. The shelter environment at Kira's place is terrible, either ants or bees, seriously slowing down the shelter building. Luckily, we collected a lot of food earlier, or it would have been hard to keep going. Although we had no experience building raised beds, the outcome was pretty good. Actually, it's stable enough to sleep on, and being elevated should keep the bugs at bay. After all our hard work, we finally got it done before dark. We couldn't get the roof done, just hoping it doesn't rain in the next few days. We have to take turns watching the fire. Having a place to sleep, we're quite satisfied. Adam feels too close to the fire, almost roasting himself. He hopes everyone can move a bit. The shelter space is already small, forcing us to squeeze together. Adam's actions made Ambrose very uncomfortable, leading to an argument. The atmosphere among us turned tense, making the night difficult. Come dawn, we debated our next move. It's best to follow the stream. Lynchy wanted Ambrose to rest more, but from a team perspective, we need to relocate. But Adam and Ambrose's friction is a problem. The fire caused trouble last night. Everyone had a tough night. First, let's see if the traps caught anything. If we can eat, we can work out the rest. Tara feels our trip here was pointless, doubting we'll find food. Adam is eager to relocate sooner. Lynchy's luck wasn't much better, failing to find animal tracks or hunt a crocodile here. We've hardly seen any fruit either. We've tried many methods. It seems we really can only ask and Bo to hold on a bit longer. Adam hasn't caught a single fish. He thinks they should head back to discuss where to go next and rest up in the shelter for a while. We can set off immediately in a bit. I hope Ambrose's body can hold up. Kira is feeling much better now. We need to gather extra palm leaves for the roof. It's crucial to complete it before tonight. Heavy rain might be coming. We plan to arrange branches at both ends for a sloped roof, ensuring the rain won't extinguish our fire. Today, we must collect many materials. Despite our lack of experience, we've observed how it's done by others. Theoretically, it seems manageable if the foundation is sturdy. I'm pretty sure we've got this. Parazu talks about going to the waters 10 miles off. Adam, keen to depart, has put on ash. Lynchy is quite anxious about this move. He's not yet prepared for a long journey and fears Ambrose might suddenly faint. Our only option was to seek shade as we walked, hoping it'd ease the discomfort from the intense heat. Ambrose perseveres despite the pain. The area's rife with spider webs and thorns, posing a real risk of injury to the unwary. Dangerous things were all around, forcing us to slow down. If we accidentally touched one of the larger spider webs above, we were instantly surrounded by spiders. After walking about 2 miles, we encountered a swamp. Taking a detour around it required even more time. Despite the short distance, we braved the water, wary of crocodiles and snakes. However, their load was heavy, necessitating several round trips to transport all items. Luckily, they faced no threats. It was really exhausting. After a brief rest, they had to continue on their way to the destination. Ambrose felt extremely tired at that time, not knowing how he managed to keep going for the sake of this shelter. Mallory felt immense concern, as merely erecting the support pillar drained him. Kira held deep admiration for him then. But I wouldn't recommend anyone do this. It's really easy to wear yourself out. Mallory's willpower is just too strong. As long as he was able, Mallory kept working, worsening his health progressively. Mallory had already vomited multiple times, aware it was from overworking, yet he refused to rest. He really wanted to do more for the team. Frozen advised Mallory to rest more. He and Kelly could work too. Mallory refused, resuming work once he felt slightly better. Kelly was at a loss for words, hoping he wouldn't wear himself out. Panlazu had already walked for miles. Everyone was extremely tired. Nearly all were slightly dehydrated and suffering from the heat, but Ambrose was in a worse state, shaking with each step. Pausing at the peak, Lynchy fretted over Ambrose possibly fainting, aware their water supply fell short for the 5 of them. With hopes that all could endure, breaks were brief. If this persisted, their bodies would surely falter. Only resting a bit more after these few miles, now it was really all about willpower to move forward. Ambrose started blaming Adam again for not sharing the fish. He believed if he failed the challenge, Adam owed him an apology and amends. Adam was taken aback by he was surprised by Ambrose's reaction. He only ate some fish and did nothing wrong. It was merely Ambrose's body failing. Why share his caught fish with Ambrose, even suggesting he toughen up? It wouldn't make a difference for Ambrose. For him, it was about survival, so don't blame him for being selfish. Tara couldn't stand it anymore. Come on, let's move. Ambrose hoped for an apology, wishing the show would highlight more of this. Hope all see Adam's selfishness. Now, aiming to reach our goal fast, we'll sort out disputes later. On the other hand, Kira's team enjoyed a positive vibe, tackling issues collectively. When spotting a struggling member, Frozen actively sought out familiar food, not wanting to leave anyone behind, and stumbled upon Ginger unexpectedly. Ginger greatly aids digestion. United in belief, the team uplifts one another, confident in overcoming the challenge. How many people do you think can walk 40 miles? Let's wait and see. Those who often eat crocodile know. In the wild, meat's usually roasted or boiled, but they tried another method. They buried the meat in a pit. Using hot stones to slow cook it for a day made the meat exceptionally tender, especially since it was wrapped in banana leaves. The meat, subtly fragrant, drew everyone together for a comfortable meal. By day 24 the Tara group was busy moving to a new area. The weather was unbearably hot, feeling like walking on a hot plate. Lynchy felt dehydrated and at risk of heat stroke, ready to faint at any moment, and Ambrose was in even worse shape. He had to stop and rest every so often, greatly slowing down the team's progress. Ambrose was feeling extremely down. Desiring to give up and rest, Ambrose found solace in his teammates' encouragement and comfort. Survival in the wilderness means overcoming personal limits. This moment is key. If they can just push through, they're sure to finish the challenge as a team. Ambrose was very grateful for this. After a short rest, they had to continue on their way to the lake. Tara was aware of the Adam-Ambrose conflict. He hoped it wouldn't dampen team spirit, wishing for a collective focus on progress. Although Ambrose was exhausted, he didn't want to let everyone down. Enduring the discomfort, he kept moving up the mountain. All he could think about was to keep going, not caring about anything else. They spent a lot of time and effort. After much effort, they glimpsed the lake, just miles from their goal, promising plentiful resources. Eager to fish, they all inhaled deeply and advanced toward the lake, unaware of Kailazu's presence. Suddenly, they heard a noise and immediately responded. Kailazu, hearing the human call, was thrilled. He didn't expect to meet up with the remaining contestants. Kailazu rushed over to greet his teammates, excited as monkeys. They found it incredibly unbelievable. They marveled at how swiftly they'd all assembled, uncertain if Kailazu brought any much-needed water. Following a quick discussion, we grasped the situation. Now, we must tackle the challenge as a team. Kailazu boasts abundant resources and is eager to share, but we must construct our own shelter. While leading us to the shelter, Mallory introduced the resources around us. Nathan thinks this is the best place we've come across so far. I believe we can secure enough food. The Kailazu shelter's roof still needs work. We must finish it later. Seeing the crocodile head hanging there, Lynchy admires it greatly. Anyway, I wouldn't have the courage to hunt alone. The shelter's too small for everyone. Good thing, there's lots of material close by. With everyone pitching in, we can finish it fast. Lynchy plans to build next to the shelter, which can accommodate 2 to 3 people, while Nathan helps finish the roof. They aim to set the beam centrally for communal use. Despite feeling exhausted, Ambrose opts not to rest, but continues working tirelessly. Instead, he kept working non-stop, really afraid he would faint halfway through. As the saying goes, many hands make light work. The shelter was built very quickly. The frame is already up. Now we just need to cover it with palm leaves. Although Adam feels he did nothing wrong, he doesn't want to affect the team. He doesn't know how to apologize. Provided Adam acknowledges his error, I'm confident Ambrose would forgive him. Yet, Adam refuses to concede. Adam and Ambrose are locked in a stalemate, causing Lynchy significant worry. Without teamwork, tackling the challenge solo here is tough. As darkness approaches and our shelter's roof remains incomplete, we're left hoping the night stays dry. As darkness fell and a large cat's growl was heard, only Nathan stayed awake, quickly rousing his nearby teammates. The big cat just passed by the shelter, which scared Tara terribly. Luckily, it wasn't very hungry. Right when we all believed the big cat had left, I was terrified it might leap from the bushes at any moment. Only Tara dared to look, yet the big cat remained unseen. But we could still hear the sound clearly. It was hard to last until dawn. We hardly slept all night. Lynchy thinks this is too dangerous. Had Nathan not alerted us, the big cat's actions would remain a mystery. A wall behind our shelter is now essential. Following a quick chat, we agreed to first enhance our shelter, then head to the lake for fishing. Adam pondered all night and chose to say sorry to Ambwa, unsure of his mistake, hoping to mend things. But he hoped it would ease the tension. Seeing Adam apologize made Ambwa feel a bit better. He hoped Adam would change. No more causing problems for the team because of selfishness. In the end, they hugged each other. Would you accept Adam's apology? Adam felt much better after speaking out. They could get along like before and were confident they could complete the challenge together. Shortly after, the team reached the lake, hungry for food. The lake was full of fish, with Ambwa sure they'd snag some. Their main goal was spotting the crocodile. Despite hearing it splash, the elusive creature remained unseen by many. Occasionally, ducks soared above them, showcasing the area's abundant resources. Tara suggested attempting to use a bow and arrow for hunting. Hitting their target directly would be ideal. Nathan, however, suggested fishing for bait, confident they'd net plenty in this area. They tried in a random spot. Although mostly weeds, they still found some small fish. These were perfect for bait. There was no reason for the crocodile not to eat it. Everyone was trying their best to catch more fish. Uncertain of the crocodile's arrival, Tara trailed the ducks, struggling to find an opportunity to act. He really wanted to contribute to the team, not just sit around doing nothing without setting any bait. Uncertain of when they'd drink, Tara had been crouched, patiently awaiting the duck's descent to rest. Tara edged sideways, grabbing her bow and arrow. The gap was significant. Maybe we should just focus on fishing. Honestly, the water here was overrun with weeds, making Lindsay and Nathan spend ages clearing them. It just wasn't efficient. We need to move to deeper waters for fishing, which requires building a raft. Continuing here isn't an option. Now, only Nathan has caught fish. Without the interference of weeds, he felt he could catch more fish, although the fish weren't very big. However, preparing fish soup could be a good idea. The meat was scarce, barely enough to ease the hunger a bit. They kept thinking about how to attract the crocodile. It all depended on it to solve everyone's food problem. Only 2 weeks left in the challenge. We're 19 miles from our goal, with few resources ahead. Can we secure enough food here? This situation greatly influenced the next challenge result, causing widespread anxiety. Kira proposed hastening our journey to reach in 2 days. However, not all can endure it. Umbo requires days to recuperate from a 10-mile trek, and Terra is notably concerned. Lacking sufficient food, completing the challenge becomes tough for many. It's wise to travel half the way, then take a few days break. By doing so, we increase our collective odds of finishing the challenge. Further discussion isn't beneficial. Our success hinges on the crocodile's approach. On day 27, Nathan collects materials for a raft to access deep waters for net cast. He believed they'd snag plenty of fish for crocodile bait. Umbwa found the idea quite practical. He quickly offered his assistance, lamenting the absence of nearby rivers which would have simplified their future journey. Nathan deeply appreciated Umbwa's assistance. They alternated in cutting down trees, greatly enhancing their productivity. Tara observed them chopping trees with curiosity, first assuming it was for firewood, not anticipating their goal was to construct a raft. He found the raft idea brilliant and quickly joined the team, convinced that a successful raft could achieve a lot. They could achieve a lot more. Even though Nathan struggled with communication, he consistently put in effort for the team. Tyler is thrilled, confident that the challenge is within reach for everyone. Whenever possible, Mallory spends his time fishing. Catching a big fish for bait could boost our odds of luring a crocodile, despite the pesky weeds that often tangle our lines. The weeds often snag our lines, yet we still snagged a big fish. Its head will soon be bait. He's caught several before. With crocodiles around, he's sure he'll snag another. Mallory showed everyone the setup technique, emphasizing the need for an open spot to lure crocodiles to the hook. Upon hearing Mallory's instructions, Lynchy grasped how they managed to snare a crocodile, finding it immensely helpful. He considered attempting it later, eager to snag a crocodile on his own. The bait was nearly set. Lynchy senses a growing camaraderie among the team as they collaborate on food tasks. Meanwhile, Tara feels somewhat disconnected. He wishes to participate, but lacks fishing line, which dampens the prospect of shared fun. Following a day of labor, all are worn out except Adam, who remains lively and chatty, but the rest are too drained to engage with him. All they wish for is to rest until tomorrow to trap the crocodile. Though the bait works, the crocodile proves unexpectedly aggressive. It broke free and escaped. When they woke up and checked, they realized the crocodile had run away. At least they know there are crocodiles around. They can set more traps and bait. One day, they will catch that crocodile. Mallory suddenly realizes the fish head is gone. Undoubtedly, the crocodile took it. It won't stray far. With persistence, they're sure to catch it soon. Adam tries to catch some fish with a net, while Abwa's stomach keeps growling. The resources they've obtained so far are not as plentiful as expected. The nearby weeds are just too dense. Adam isn't sure he can catch any fish. He's afraid a crocodile might suddenly appear. For some reason, the fishing line snaps. It was very likely bitten by a crocodile. Adam keeps casting the net and clearing the weeds. They can still catch some small fish. Ambwa feels he has changed a lot. At least he's making an effort for the team. Their small catches hardly fill them up. The real solution is the crocodile. Without it in a day or two, they might really exhaust themselves. This time they use all the fishing lines. Surely one will catch something. Despite their exhaustion, everyone's putting in the effort. Nathan's busy securing the shelter's wood pieces. Luckily, there's ample paracord for the task. Nathan thinks one more day of drying will suffice for sturdiness. The concept seems solid, yet its success is doubtful. Terra seeks assistance, but all are busy fishing. They didn't hear Terra's call, which annoys him. If they catch a crocodile in the morning, the situation might not be so bad. Discussing their situation, they realize food is critically low. Without a crocodile catch by tomorrow, someone may not last much longer. Terra wishes to rest a bit. The mood among the team grows tense. Their success hinges on catching a crocodile today. They are set to check, but Terra and Nathan are still asleep. Everyone's hopeful, noticing the tight fishing lines. It seems a crocodile might already be snagged. Sure enough, over by the trap, the excitement was palpable. Everyone worked together to subdue the crocodile. It was huge. They probably hadn't seen so many people before. Finally, we could have a good meal. Lindsay was tearfully touched. The fish symbolized our collective shot at finishing the challenge, truly a tough feat. Without everyone's effort, I might have given up on the challenge and gone home to lie down. Now, we need to hurry and clean the crocodile. Such a big one. All pondered the crocodile's longevity. Hearing cheers, Tara and Nathan realized there'd be crocodile meat for dinner. Tara really wanted to join in, but was just too tired, missing the chance to hunt with everyone. At the moment, feeling low, Ambwa unknowingly mentioned on camera that all the women had moved on. Hearing this made Tara's spirits sink even further. Obviously, Tara was a female contestant too, albeit recognized later. Feeling isolated, she believed it was time to speak up. She hoped to join the hunt, not wanting to be overlooked by the group. Initially, the crocodile catch had everyone excited, but Tara's words shifted the mood. The mood quickly turned tense. Lindsay explained it was fear of the crocodile fleeing that made everyone summon Tara, not exclusion. Tara remained downcast, preferring solitude. Lindsay, feeling helpless, went to offer Tara comfort. Ever since Kayla's group arrived, Tara sensed she was overlooked and ignored by all. Lindsay could only keep apologizing and comforting. After exchanging words, Tara's mood improved slightly. Lindsay promised to include Tara in future activities, leading to a warm embrace between them. Hoping their friendship would always last. Now it was time to clean the crocodile together. It was quite big. First, they skinned it. Nathan even specifically took out the crocodile's little brother, calling it a man's fuel station. Kayla was also curious about the taste. He had to take a bite. Grilled over the fire, it smelled quite strange. Nathan and Kayla weren't overly impressed, but found the texture quite nice and suggested everyone give it a go. Lindsay was baffled by this. Shouldn't crocodile meat be tasty? Adam and Tara handled the crocodile prep, with the rest taking care of cooking and smoking. Nathan intended to excavate a pit, add fire and stones, and once the flames subsided, they'd conceal it with leaves, using the residual heat to cook the meat. Although the meat won't last very long, it's much more convenient than searching further. Numerous banana leaves around can enhance the meat's flavor. We're nearly set. Soon, we can add the fish heads and limbs, and the rest of the meat will be used for roasting. Nathan's setup looks just like a steamer. We can't eat until tomorrow morning, but the barbecue's nearly done, seasoning or not. But you can smell the deliciousness through the screen. Let's try the new crocodile flavor. Right now, we're like a pack of wolves. Everyone gets a bite, symbolizing the team's united effort. It's been so long since we've had meat, Ambwa feels revitalized. Everyone savors the crocodile's taste, and suddenly, it's day 30. Upon waking, Nathan's first act is to start digging a hole. The outcome surpasses our expectations. The heat lingers, and the leaf-wrapped meat is perfectly cooked. Simply taste it. Doesn't it surpass the flavor of the chicken leg you're holding? Had we realized its deliciousness, we'd have cooked the last crocodile similarly. Crocodile meat with banana leaves tastes amazing. We barely talked, simply aware of our meal's success. We thought this crocodile meat would last a few days, but it was gone in one, just when we started feeling better. How do we spend the next 10 days? Catching another crocodile seems best, or it's a long road ahead. I'm really afraid we won't be able to hold on. By day 32, Nathan finally remembers the raft. Now we have to rely on this to get more food. Only by reaching the deep water can Nathan's fishing net be effective. The raft is more successful than expected. Standing on it, it won't sink. Kayla is busy making paddles. Despite its basic appearance, the raft works well. He moves it into deeper waters to explore. Wishing to avoid crocodiles, Mallory fishes diligently, aiming for a hearty meal for all. A crack per 8 folks goes fast, maybe one each is better. Kayla heads back into the jungle to hunt. Seeing Mallory constantly fishing, he feels he needs to try harder. Kayla has reached the deep water area. Fishing here reveals unusual weeds below. Nathan, I reckon, would be thrilled to visit. Kyla was surprised to run into Tyler. Instead of rushing to fish, they chose to scout the island together. As soon as they arrived, they found droppings that seemed to be from capybaras. Catching one wouldn't be bad. Tyler felt confident again. They planned to go back and set a trap when suddenly thunder sounded. This wasn't good news. They had to hurry back to the shelter, wishing they had known this would happen. Had Kyler been aware, he'd have skipped the island trip. Meanwhile, at the shelter, all were busy gathering much-needed firewood. Uncertainty loomed over their ability to collect sufficient firewood before the rain hit. Despite the downpour, Mallory was determined to keep fishing. With just 8 days to go, doubts crept in about finishing the challenge. It was the hardest scenario I'd ever encountered. Venturing into the sunlight only to collapse, every ounce of fat utilized, immediately tossed on the flames to cook. The aroma wafted through the screen. Tasting it felt like biting into crispy chicken, and there was roasted fish just a step away. It almost looks like a holiday spot from afar. Who's up for joining a team to visit? We've hit day 32 of the challenge. Mallory was still setting up fishing lines in the pouring rain, which worried Tyler greatly. He quickly called him back. If his body temperature dropped too low, that would be bad. Everyone huddled around the fire to warm up. The shelter wasn't as sturdy as imagined, hoping to withstand the storm, but reality was harsh. In just a few hours, rainwater began seeping into the shelter. They had to use their bodies to protect the fire, surrounded by puddles, fearing the water would rise at night. With just 5 days remaining to secure food and the last 2 spent traveling, they were relieved the downpour was brief. The shelter was hardly livable. They agreed hunting crocodiles was wise, or Ambo might just give out. Walking around the lake was too exhausting. They could try placing their gear on a raft. Swimming across would definitely be easier than walking. Maximizing distance on day 1 was crucial. Kyler, having no prior experience, felt anxious about this. The challenge was much harder than anything online. Everyone was so weak, it wouldn't be surprising if someone fainted. Now was their moment to shine, aiming to finish the challenge together. Do you believe they can make it? It's day 33. Everyone woke up early to look for poles in the lake, hoping to catch a crocodile. Despite everyone's efforts to support the team, it's disheartening that our bait hasn't lured anything yet. Adam's main task is to continually fetch and boil water, ensuring everyone stays hydrated. Having bamboo would be a huge plus for us. No matter our location, we're able to refill our water. Adam believes he's become better at actively supporting others. By sacrificing for the group, I've bonded with everyone. My main worry is Ambrose. I need to support him more. Adam is keen for us to finish the challenge as a team. Nathan's laid traps nearby, yet we're unsure if the issue lies with the bait or the traps themselves. So far, we haven't caught anything. I think it's a feng shui issue. This time Nathan chose a spot where few people have been. Even catching a mouse would be better than nothing. For now, it's simple, just bend the saplings. Next, set them on the branches. When it goes for the bait, it'll be lifted up. Lynn, she, Ambrose, and Sister Dawn remain at the shelter, maintaining the fire while thinking of ways to improve it. They don't want to experience a leaking shelter again, given our current physical condition. A minor cold could floor someone. Lynn shivered by the fire. We must fix the shelter today, tired or not. First, we'll fill all the gaps. Although Ambrose feels very weak, he still wants to try. Unless the crew comes to carry someone away, I won't give up, even if I have to crawl. Nathan is still making traps. I'm curious how many he's made. If he's not making traps, he's on his way to make more. Nathan still thinks it's not enough. It would be best to cover the whole area. Isn't he afraid of teammates accidentally triggering them? Getting hit by one would probably knock someone out. After all the hustle, another trap is ready. Hopefully, some food will come our way. Mallory hasn't found anything. The storm and strong winds. The rods are missing, and not a fish in sight. How can we even think of catching a crocodile without any bait? Mallory was really down. He thought about casting nets to catch some small fish, but Kyler and Tyler disagreed. It's simply not worth the effort. We should try the deeper waters instead. Hopefully, Mallory gets some rest. Mallory's always putting in effort for us, but others should pitch in too. Kyler fears he might physically break down. After some persuasion, he finally agreed to go rest. Tyler hopes we can all complete the challenge together, so he often checks on his teammates' condition, making sure everyone gets enough rest. There's only a few days left. We have to press on. She didn't expect Mallory's early return. She's normally still out fishing now. Ambwe is very worried about this. He's already feeling weak, and now Mallory isn't looking good either. She began throwing up unexpectedly, worsening our fears. We quickly summoned a doctor to examine her. Tyler is worried Mallory won't make it. The doctor did a quick check and preliminarily concluded she was just very hungry. Combined with the prolonged exertion, her body reacted. If the situation worsens, the production team will have to send Mallory back, despite everything. Despite his contributions, he's keen on Nathan assisting with the bait. Nathan didn't hesitate to join Kyler in the task. Now, everyone is working together. He believes we can definitely overcome the difficulties. We urgently need a crocodile to save the team. Nathan tries to get more bait, hoping it will help catch a crocodile. After all the hustle, they caught a slightly bigger fish. Kyler believes the fish is tempting enough. Suddenly, it attempts to flee, but leaps awkwardly, irritating Nathan to the point where he swiftly ends it with a knife. Kyler needs just the fish head. The remainder is swiftly brought back for Mallory, hoping it boosts her spirits. The fish wasn't enough for everyone, just barely whetting their appetite. There's 19 miles left to go. Merely pondering the situation sends shivers down my spine. Even feasting on a crocodile might not offer swift recovery. On day 34 of the challenge, Kyla can only collect fruits to bring back. These help alleviate stomach discomfort. Depending on these alone proves too challenging, they're insufficient for the ordeal ahead. We're now proceeding gradually, step by step. Perhaps we should consider departing a bit sooner. Reflecting, some teammates exited prematurely, yet we've endured tough circumstances. I'm sure I can finish the last stretch. I just don't know if my teammates can complete it together. Nathan is about to check the traps. In theory, if any animals wandered close, we'd likely catch them. Yet, there's no trace of any nearby. All we can do is wait and hope. We plan to net fish, but another storm hit. We managed just 2 tiny fish. Adam feels it's not even enough to fill the gaps between teeth. After resting, Mallory feels much better. Eager to help the team, Mallory couldn't stay idle. He quickly resumed setting up crocodile traps. As the thunder grew louder, Mallory hurried with the bait as the rest went for firewood. I hope the fire doesn't go out tonight. Just as Mallory finished setting up the traps, he immediately called Adam to head back to the shelter. The pursuit has exceeded our expectations. The signal's now stronger and flawless. Huddling by the fire for warmth. Despite the cold making us shiver, we continued to feed the fire with wood, under the relentless downpour of rain. All of us were drenched by the rain already. If it keeps up or worsens into the night, I'm sure someone's health will give in after hours of this torment. The fire is about to go out. What's worse, the rain shows no sign of stopping. Lynchy can only keep throwing firewood inside, which brings a slight sense of relief. Kayla was all soaking wet, and she didn't have a place to sleep at night, and she didn't have the strength to clean up the shelter. Honestly, it's a mystery how we've survived these days. Getting to day 37 was hard, especially with the weedy lake. Catching fish with a hook is hard. All I crave now is food. Post the last challenge, I faced a divorce. He believed he'd grow stronger, yet this place proved harsher than expected. He nearly quit the challenge multiple times. Despite the urge to quit, I persevered, showcasing my strength in the challenge. Now, I'm nearly at the extraction point. Maru's still on the crocodile hunt, hoping a hearty meal boosts our spirits and strength before we leave. If we don't catch anything tonight, he'll just have to go to bed hungry. By chance, a crocodile appeared last night. Surely the crew didn't send it, right? Before sunrise, we all got up to inspect the traps. We hoped for a meal. As Adam grabbed the fishing line, he sensed a change. Sadly, the crocodile visited last night, only to consume the bait and leave. Seems we'll be facing hunger for a while. Spirits are low. For now, fruits are all we've got to eat. Kyla thinks it's incredibly tough. We'll probably be totally drained by the end. Keeping morale high is a real challenge. When Umbwa heard Kyla's cries, he became even more anxious, and the others didn't know what to say. Lynchy doesn't want to see anyone quit in these last 2 days. We're so close to success, hoping everyone can hold on. Assisting each other with issues, Lynchy's encouraging words sadly don't lift the team's spirits. Kyla considered dropping out, finding the challenge too tough and worrying about slowing the team down. Tyler ventured close with his bow to hunt for food, hoping a successful catch would grant us a more restful sleep tonight. As we walked, we could hear the birds chirping in the trees, and they looked to be of a decent size. Just as I was about to take a shot with my bow and arrow, the bird took off elsewhere, while Lynchy and the team worked hard fishing. Despite their efforts, they caught Tyler didn't give up on that bird, kept following it from behind, but after several attempts, he still couldn't catch it. Mallory only managed to catch 1 fish. For the team, it's not enough. We definitely need to snag a few more. Currently, we lack a better strategy. Our only option is to proceed gradually, securing more bait to lure additional fish. Catching a crocodile would be a bonus, offering more than just sustenance. They must also secure ample firewood to ensure a good night's sleep. Adam continued his efforts in collecting it. Upon hearing Nathan announce a snake, Adam quickly grabbed a stick and struck it, swiftly handling the situation. One person can still get a small piece of meat to eat, and Adam thinks it's already good, and he can still eat snake meat before leaving. It truly lifted the team's spirits. Nathan, aiming for more calories, even used the snake's fat. Cooking the snake meat, we hadn't savored the scent of chicken in ages. Kyla quickly grabbed a piece to eat. He reckons it's crunchier and even more chicken-like than actual chicken. Just then, Mallory arrives, bringing fish along. Although there wasn't a lot of food to eat, it was enough for them. At least they could make it through tomorrow. Our success on the final day hinges on our collective determination. Around the fire, we planned for tomorrow until nightfall. Tomorrow morning, after waking up, we'll begin to pack and aim to maintain a good pace, hoping to find some food on our journey. Mallory's eager to rest quickly before finishing the challenge with the group. For Adam, it's his debut enduring a 2-day trek. Most people would have quit the challenge by now, unsure of the outcome. Take the chance to rest a bit more. At last, evacuation day is here. Upon awakening, they began to pack. Umbwa felt unwell, fearing dehydration and possibly fainting en route. There was also the issue of where to stay at night. There were too many things to worry about. Mallory filled up a whole pot of water, and they prepared for pots in total. bottle. If they ran out of water, finding more was uncertain. Carrying the pots already exhausted them, and they still had a long way to go. The biggest disappointment was their moldy, unwearable crocodile skin shoes, initially meant as souvenirs. According to the map, they planned to swim across the lake, then cross the jungle and head towards the mountains. The best plan was to camp in the forest. Following a quick chat, they swiftly embarked, aiming to traverse as much terrain as they could before dawn fully broke. Luckily, they'd made a raft beforehand, loading it up before clinging on to swim across. The water level was higher than expected, making swimming especially difficult. Anyone slightly shorter would be submerged. Mallory was keen to avoid a repeat. Soon after, hauling their gear to dry land became the next task. Barely 30 minutes in, they were already panting, taking a break on the ground. Unsure of the time passed, they eventually resumed their journey. They quickly entered the jungle, where dangerous things were everywhere. If it wasn't thorns, it was ants, truly torturous. They screamed as they rushed through the jungle. The environment was tougher than expected. They had at least 10 more miles of treacherous terrain to cover. Their greatest worry was unexpectedly running into snakes. This place swarmed with venomous ones, each deadlier than before, and they lacked fire to cook any. So even if they caught one, they couldn't eat it. The area was full of ants, making it extremely uncomfortable. They really wanted to set the jungle on fire. As they ventured further into the jungle, the terrain grew increasingly muddy, caking Adam's shoes in muck. Perhaps a good wash might salvage them. Amber felt extremely unwell and just wanted to lie down and not move. Lindsay didn't notice. She kept encouraging Kayla to keep going. She felt so tired and wished the journey ahead could be a bit shorter. Everyone was exhausted. They finally found a clearing to rest. The remaining female participants were incredibly weak. Persisting in this manner would surely wear them out. Their wish was to halt and construct a resting shelter. Lindsay contemplated leaving the challenge as they rushed to construct the shelter, relieved to find a creek close by. At least water's not a concern. Lindsay aimed for a sturdier shelter, but Tara quickly dismissed it. We're leaving tomorrow, so a fancy shelter isn't necessary. Just getting some sleep tonight would be great. Following a quick chat, the group quickly split tasks, confident the shelter would endure unless it rained heavily. Tara wanted to finish early and rest, but Lindsay felt too tired and needed to rest a bit more before he could help. Tara was really annoyed, but knowing it wasn't the right moment to stir trouble in the team, she reluctantly turned to Nathan for help with building. It's quite normal for arguments to arise in wilderness survival, especially when everyone is physically weak and in low spirits. A warm embrace often works wonders, mending fences so they could unite in constructing the shelter. Despite its basic appearance, sleeping for a night should be easy if it stays dry. Yet, the mosquito situation is quite intense. They risk being covered in bites. As obstacles emerged once more, they hesitated to summon medical help, worried it might end their challenge prematurely. Reaching the final day was tough. With just a bit more road ahead, the end of the challenge was near. All were pushing themselves to the limit. Quickly packing up, they headed straight for the 12-mile distant checkpoint, striving to keep their pace. Exiting the jungle, the heat became unbearable, like being in a steamer with the scent of one's own body in the air. Navigating the hills, with their relentless ups and downs, was excruciating. Our energy drained fast, pushing us to rely solely on sheer determination. A little setback could completely break someone. Ambrose stubbed his toe on a rock and was in so much pain he was cursing. After everyone comforted him, Ambrose's mood improved slightly. Then Adam started to break down terribly. Such wilderness survival trials truly aren't for the average person. Mallory faced difficulties once more. With only a short distance to the checkpoint, the group preferred waiting for his recovery over anyone quitting the challenge. Luckily, Mallory rallied and pressed on to the checkpoint, with everyone tapping into their final reserves of strength. Suddenly, it appeared they spotted something. It was quite challenging. The excitement was palpable. Imagine trekking 19 kilometers without food. I definitely couldn't. In the end, congratulations to them for successfully completing the challenge. The crew had prepared a feast. Finally, the participants could have a full meal. I'm just curious, shouldn't they go for a medical checkup first? Let's look forward to what challenges lie ahead.